What's up, everybody? Welcome to Bitch with Comrade Misty. I am Comrade Misty. I am in DC, so this is a little bit different for everybody. I'm not in my house. This is a very different background. I am in a condo in the middle of DC right now, getting ready for the last leg of the Home Run for Julian tour, which we have tomorrow at the Department of Justice. I am joined by my good friend Kobe, who is part of the new DC Metro for Assange group. They've been doing an amazing kick-ass job down here, going around handing out flyers and informational stuff, and just, really just kicking ass. And we also have some more people coming later. Suzanne's over here, but she's eating. So she'll be joining us in a little bit. We're going to have an activist bitch session. We're going to talk about I'm sure some random craziness will come up. Who knows? You guys, you know how it is. We never know what's going to happen here on this show. Kobe, thanks for coming and hanging out with me in person. Yep. In real life, it's you guys.
Weird going from seeing somebody on Twitter and seeing somebody on YouTube to like actually in real life.
Sleepy, can you? Can you hear him? Okay, or do I need to like?
Or do I need to talk?
I think it might be using the laptop one.
Oh yeah, really?
The laptop audio.
It's
maybe.
Using one.
Should I put this down? Do you think? It's kind of annoying, but
put it down and try it.
Okay. Can you still hear me now?
No, it's definitely using that mic.
Oh, okay.
Or just talk more directly at him.
No, at least we know. I can put it over this way. At least we know that you can kind of hear him.
You can hear him.
Why don't you tell everybody first of all just a little bit about yourself and then what you guys have been doing in the DC area?
Okay. So I don't want to make it seem like I'm one of the lead organizers necessarily, because I'd say I've latched on to a lot of other people's efforts that they've been working on. But so I am an activist from the DC area. I'm actually from Maryland, but grew up in Montgomery County. Consider myself what you'd call like a citizen journalist. So I go to events sometimes I'll cover it. I do some political commentary, nothing like official. I don't have a podcast yet. I don't consistently write a newsletter, but I have written editorials in the past. But so I'm kind of like a blend of like a citizen journalist and an activist. And I've been into WikiLeaks and their revelations since high school. I remember watching a video in my AP government class about all of this when it was
Really?
Yeah, I would say back in like 2011, 2012.
Wow.
When it was like just all starting type of thing. And then, I was deep into it in 2016 with the DNC leaks and stuff like that. And yeah, so now last week we handed out flyers by the Washington Monument, by Vietnam Memorial. I think it was a week or two ago, we had all gone to the Home Run for Julian event in, what was it, Poets and Prose? Mm-hmm. Something like that. Yeah, so something like that.
Those boys and poets.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where they had Assange's dad, Assange's brother, Chip Gibbons, that's his name, from some dissent organization. Mm-hmm. And then Marianne Williamson was there too. But yeah, so I'd say Jordan and Josh really do the bulk of organizing work for DC Metro for Assange. And I've kind of just showed up to try to give it more publicity, and to help out with their activism.
I can relate to that. The Action for Assange kind of adopted me at first. So, actually, Andrew kind of accosted me. He's very persuasive, that Andrew.
How so? How did he?
Well, because I really didn't want to come on. I really didn't want to come on the show. So Andrew and I met in Chicago, actually, in person. Like we had followed each other for a long time on Twitter, but we met in person at a Jimmy Dore show in Chicago.
Oh, nice.
And it was like they had just started Action for Assange, and so I went up to Taylor Hudak, who was there. That she was handing out bracelets, and I was like, "I'm so glad you guys are doing this. Unity for Jay had just shut down, and I'm like, somebody needed to pick this up. I'm so glad you guys are doing this." And they ended up sitting right behind me, and I got drunk. And then they kept asking me if I would be a guest on the Assange Vigil. And I'm like, sure, of course I will. And then I realized when I was sober that I said I would go on somebody's show. And I really didn't want to. So they had to persuade me. And then they eventually like kind of progressed into like, well, you should be a regular co-host. And I'm like, nah. And it like really took some persuasion because I really didn't want, I'm still not very comfortable on camera. Like I've been doing it for a while and I still kind of hate it.
Gotta kind of dip your toe in and then slowly get a little more into it. Next thing you know, now you do podcasts like I swear you do it like every day of the week.
If you know Andrew Smith, you know that he is kind of relentless. He's kind of, he won't stop. He will not stop. Suzanne has something like very specific to bitch about later, but which is going to be lots of fun to talk about. I'm really excited. But I want to bitch about the fact that Bill Cosby just got let out of jail.
Yeah. Oh, valid thing.
What the fuck is happening?
They let Bill Cosby out of jail for sexual assault.
Yes. Dude is a straight-on rapist, like full-on legitimate rapist, and he's out of prison. And Julian Assange is still in Belmarsh. Not only is he in prison, he's in Belmarsh, which is, the UK's Gitmo. So I don't know what's going on.
What's the like legal rationale that let this happen? I don't know the details, the actual like nitty-gritty nuance of how the Bill Cosby case.
I haven't read it because I've been driving all day. Yeah. I do also know that Donald Rumsfeld died, which we should cheer a little bit about that. One less shithead in the world. Now Kissinger. Let's go. Well, this will be the third, right? People die in 3.
Wait, Rumsfeld died?
Yeah. Yes.
Oh, yeah. That's some celebration.
Welcome to the party.
I've been retweeting documents about his support of torture during the Iraq War.
Yeah, like I was stopped in traffic and I like picked up my phone and there was a news alert that Donald Rumsfeld had died, and I'm like, what? Yeah, that's good. That's good stuff, you guys. That's really. I mean, this is a show about bitching. I guess we can bitch about how awful he is.
All before Kissinger.
I know. Oh, right? What the fuck, dude? Okay.
Come on, 2021.
Like 110.
He's what, 99, I think?
He's like 170. Like it's all the children he killed. That's why he's never gonna.
I know. Like, does he like bathe in the blood of Greek virgins or something? Like, what is
I think so.
Oh, it's so annoying to me that somebody that just disgusting lives that long. Like Mike Gravel died before Henry Kissinger. There is no God. There just isn't. Like that's just not good.
It's just so crazy how somebody like Bill Cosby, who like literally did sexual assaults like multiple different women, like countless women,
drugged them and raped
he's only
them.
been in prison for what, like less than 5 years? I don't even know. He hasn't been gone that long.
I don't know.
Is it 3 years?
Maybe.
And then you have non-violent criminals, like leaving Assange aside, like you have non-violent criminals just for drug offenders, just for weed. People who've been selling weed, who've been in prison for 20 or 30 years.
Yes.
Or people who are just like activists who were just at an event.
Yeah.
I know people at the Black Lives Matter protest last summer, the people who had poured red paint all over the steps of I think it was the Colorado State House building. Mm-hmm. They were getting like potentially 10 years in prison. In D.C., there was activists who tried to pull down the Andrew Jackson statue outside of the White House.
Yeah.
And I think they're getting charged with 10 years in prison. And it's just like all of these nonviolent, just for good causes these people were doing, and they're going to get a bigger punishment than Bill Cosby for sexual assault.
But they're violent extremists, silly. they're a threat to national security. So the fact that Bill Cosby's getting out of jail just really pisses me off, especially given the fact that with the new release of the Siggy interview from Student, which if you guys haven't read that, please go read it because it's incredibly revealing, and mainstream media is not fucking covering it, which is something else we can bitch about because, I mean, this isn't, okay, Bombshell, Rachel Maddow loves her bombshells, right? This is a legitimate bombshell, y'all. This is the complete implosion of the U.S. prosecution's case against Julian Assange. I mean, literally, this is, they have nothing. They didn't have anything to begin with, but what they did have, what they manufactured, has now completely imploded, 100%. All of the computer intrusion and hacking charges, gone. They are no longer viable at all whatsoever. And the fact that they got their key witness, you guys, their key witness is a diagnosed sociopath and a convicted child molester.
And they have evidence that he lied, too.
Yes.
They have like chat logs of some sort of evidence that this was all fake, and the FBI hadn't even like asked him for his evidence in the first place. They sort of just believed him at face value because they wanted to find some reason to get Assange.
That's what it was all about.
I was saying this was like a golden opportunity when they heard from him. They're like, oh, we have to go down.
It really didn't matter who he was, what he did. They just wanted Assange, and if he was willing to lie, they were willing to give him immunity to do so. And he also admitted to once he made the deal with the FBI, dude decided that he was going to just increase his crime spree and like just started fucking people.
Once they said they would give him immunity, then he started purposely committing more crimes.
In this interview, like completely admitted, as soon as I made this deal with the FBI, I just went hog wild. Like I just went nuts. And this is a guy who, just so you guys know, he was never like really involved with WikiLeaks. He was a low-level volunteer in 2010 who like helped with some fundraising stuff, and in fact is convicted in Iceland for embezzling $50,000 from WikiLeaks. So this is their key witness against Julian Assange, and he's still in prison. And it's been like what, 5 days since this revelation came out or something, 4 or 5 days, and he's still in prison. But Bill Cosby's out, so that's our criminal justice system.
Has anybody in mainstream media picked it up at all? Have you heard? The only thing I heard was when Gabriel, Assange's brother, was interviewing with Mehdi Hassan.
And he brought it up.
I say Mehdi's question was totally like the opposite perspective, and Gabriel brought it up in response to it.
Democracy? Well, Okay, I kind of consider them.
Kind of
I kind
mainstream
of
media,
consider
not really,
they
but-
are kind of now.
Yeah, on the
But it was
edge.
good to see them pick it up. But the Mehdi Hassan interview is fucking terrible. He was asking about 2016 and Donald Trump, and that's not even what he's in prison for, you douche canoe. Like, what are you talking
It's irrelevant. The
about? It
messages
is
with Roger Stone, it's irrelevant with
Yes,
the Trump campaign.
but this-
All of that's irrelevant.
But this is
from
the
the case.
propaganda line. They have to continue pushing that narrative because that's how they manufacture consent for the treatment that he's receiving. They have to make people hate him. So yeah, the fact that Mehdi Hassan has them on and doesn't even talk about this massive story, and Gabriel has to bring it up, is just ridiculous. I do know that RT did an amazing segment on it. People like to bitch about RT. People like to avoid RT because they don't want to hurt the cause or whatever. And I say, fuck that.
Because they're scared of being associated with
Yeah,
Russia.
and I get it. I mean, I guess with Julian, like, I understand, like, wanting to separate himself from Russia just because of the Russian accusations. But we're kind of in a crunch time moment.
Well, I wish people would realize, like, regardless of how you feel about the Russian government and the fact that it's a state-run media, it's the idea that, I mean, what's wrong with associating with RT if you associate with corporate media, if you associate with other countries' state-run media? You know, just because you associate with RT or talk to people on RT doesn't mean you endorse the actions of the Russian government.
Exactly. But it's that connection that people have tried to accuse Julian Assange of being a Russian agent or working with the Russians to help elect Donald Trump, which is all bullshit. The Mueller report even admits that they have nothing to make that connection. But, you know.
What was even discussed in those messages? It was basically just, it was like Donald Trump Jr. and Roger Stone trying to get information out of WikiLeaks and not getting anything.
Well, and it was also WikiLeaks trying to get information from Donald Trump Jr. Like, hey, give me your dad's taxes. Like, just.
But it didn't go anything beyond that.
No, of course not. And it was just, and that's what journalists do, you guys. Journalists contact sources and try to get information from them. And Donald Trump Jr. is an incredible source. If your dad's running for president, of course WikiLeaks is. I guarantee you. A majority of journalists were trying to get in touch with Donald Trump Jr. to get some kind of information or some story or some quote or some soundbite. That's how journalism fucking works. But that doesn't have anything to do with why Julian Assange is in prison. And that it gets so convoluted all the time. I can't tell you the number of times I've talked to people about Julian Assange and they think he's in prison because of the Russia stuff. They think he's being prosecuted for the Russia stuff. And he's not. It has nothing to do with that.
They never found it there. That whole investigation, the 2 years, 3 years of investigating.
Millions of dollars. Millions of dollars. I don't even know. I forget how much now that it was. It was a fucking lot of money was spent on the Mueller report and that whole investigation. And it was useless. There was nothing. They found nothing. And still Julian Assange is in prison.
So I don't know if you know the details because I know there are 18 different charges. Do we know? Because I know that one of them, the key one that we always talk about was him helping Chelsea Manning crack the code. That's the one they talk about the most.
Yeah, that's
and
the
I'm guessing the
computer
Siggy
intrusion
one
and
must
hacking.
be one other one related to that. But what else are they throwing at him? I don't think they ever talk about anything else besides that.
I mean, I wouldn't want to like just ramble them off because I would want to look at them. But yeah, I mean, you can go and you can look at the indictment and see all, and it's legitimately all bullshit. We talk about it all the time, but if you and this is why it's so frustrating because most people won't do that work. They won't go and look at this information. They won't go and check and see what this is all actually about. It's all bullshit, you guys. They have nothing on him. And again, like I said, what they did have, what they manufactured against him has completely fallen apart 100% with this new Siggy interview. So it's mind-boggling to me that we are even still having this conversation. And I think Paula and Josh are here.
Sounds like it.
We have more party people. Come on, we're live. Let's go. It's time to bitch.
Oh, they're gonna jump in instantly.
Yeah, it's time to bitch, friends. Let's do it. Hi, Josh. Okay, oh, careful. You okay? Paula's trying to kill herself. So yeah, we are talking here. Sit. We are talking about Siggy, actually.
What's up, Josh?
So, you have anything you want to bitch about with Siggy?
Siggy.
And the new revelations about how all of the new. This couch is really uncomfortable, fans. And I'm sitting on the crack, and it's like in my butt, and it's really funny. Hi! Are you going to come out here, Paula? Come, bitch? No? Okay. Paula doesn't want to bitch. Paula doesn't want to bitch.
I don't know. I don't know. Tell me about it. I don't really know.
Oh, you haven't heard?
No.
Okay, so several days ago, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, the key witness in the prosecution against Julian Assange is named Siggy Thordarson. He is
The Icelandic guy.
okay. So Icelandic guy. He did an interview where he completely, recanted pretty much everything that he said about Julian Assange, admitted to lying, gave proof of chat logs where he admitted to lying, and he's still in prison. And it's fun. Like, this is great. I personally, I think that they are they don't really have much choice now. Like they're stalling, I think, but they're going to have to let him go. I think that this story breaking woke a lot of people up. I've seen a lot of people online who are like, oh, okay. And that's good. That's
a lot of people
great.
who were skeptical originally or didn't know enough about the case who have started to kind of move
and are now like, oh, wait a minute, they don't really have anything. So that's really good. And listen, if you are somebody who has not supported Julian Assange or have talked shit about Julian Assange or bought into the propaganda about Julian Assange, and you're now starting to wake up, you're now starting to see what's happening here, that's okay. We welcome you. Come on in. It's fine. We hold no grudges. There's no ego involved. Welcome aboard. Seriously. And that even like my little stalker squad out there, if you want to come on board, you're welcome too. Seriously, I hold no grudges. This is more important than that. So even if, and again, I've tweeted this, you don't have to like me or my approach to know that I'm right. And this is a very dangerous case, and everybody should be speaking out
because
against it.
that's not what it's about. It's not about liking Julian. It's not about liking me or liking Misty or Kobe. It's about whether or not we believe that journalists or even just you and I have the right to say something that counters the narrative. If we have the right to actually try to fight for something that may benefit us, but it isn't what the government wants us to think. And if you believe in that, like Missy said, it should never be too late. It shouldn't be about whether you're on a Republican or on the Democratic side. It just should be about whether you care about these issues.
Yeah, 100%. And it's really, it's bigger than Assange. And people always say, well, he's a creep or he's weird. Or I don't know him. I don't know why people are always like, I don't like him. You don't know him. I don't know him. I've never met him. And I don't care. He could be the biggest asshole on the planet, and I would still fight against what's happening.
Because legally it's about the precedent that the case itself set. So even if it was, just hypothetically the worst person on earth,
right,
who this case was being involved in,
yeah,
it's the fact that will then be used against the best person on earth afterwards. That once this happens here, it sets a legal precedent that can be used against anybody.
Mm-hmm.
That's what people aren't missing.
We can squish. Yeah, squish. Because you have things to bitch about. Suzanne really does have some things to bitch about. Oh, okay. Basic footwear. Okay, so Suzanne today and Paula, there was an event tonight at the press club in DC, and there was some shenanigans. They wouldn't let them in. Why wouldn't they let you in?
Because we needed to have, apparently we got notice, what was it, last night? Last night online. That we needed to have, first we had to be on the list, which I don't know what that is, but we weren't on the list, so we were second-class citizens. But apparently we could get on the list if we had proof of being vaxxed, and a negative COVID test within 72 hours. And they also took our temperature, which we were both normal. It's probably the only normal thing about me is my temperature. So I am vaxxed, didn't have my card with me. And I didn't have time. Like last night, where am I going to get a 72-hour COVID test?
This is my question. They just announced this last night that you had to have a 72-hour negative COVID test. How are you supposed to get a 72-hour negative COVID test 12 hours before an event?
It didn't happen. We got kicked out.
Yeah.
You think they could have rapid tests there, right?
Right.
They were going to set that
Why
standard.
didn't you have some rapid tests if you're going to require people
Well,
to
they
get
had
one?
these face scanner like temperature readers, but like as soon as we walked up there, it was very confrontational. And this is the thing. If this is about freedom of information, I mean,
It's the
especially
National Press Club.
Exactly. And especially if Suzanne had her vaccine, there's no excuse. I mean, I don't understand what they were doing. The only thing that I can understand is that they're just trying to keep as many people and keep it as controlled as possible and make sure that there are not any outside deterrents coming in, So
They didn't want to see support. They didn't want a crowd building. They would have loved to have been able to showcase the fact there were only a few people there.
Yeah.
Because it sends a message there really isn't a groundswell of support for Julian Assange. So it's an optics thing as well.
Yep.
And that's how they control the optics. I mean, it's no different than suppressing voting.
Yeah.
If you suppress voters, they even if they show up and they turn out, but they were at the wrong polling station because you moved it at the last minute. It's about moving the chain, moving not the chains, but it's about moving the rules. Yeah. They keep changing things. So we show up.
Widen the goalposts every
right.
time.
Well,
Exactly.
and perceptions make a big difference on things like that. Like I've heard of situations where where Bernie had been giving a speech at the DNC convention in 2016, and they made it so all the white people were behind him and people of color to the sides to make it have a perception that, he's only supported by white people, or CNN editing the color of his skin to make it look like he's angrier and red. And that's like, they really, like, that stuff matters, like, in a real subtle way.
It
like,
really does.
In 2016 at the DNC convention, I remember when people did a banner drop for the WikiLeaks emails back then. Yeah. And what happened was, I think they had shut the light off on the crowd, and people had worn glow-in-the-dark shirts because they had the lights turned off on them before.
The DNC convention in 2016 were amazing. You guys were amazing. If you were there, you were amazing. They used everything against you. Sound cannons and turning the lights off.
It was so crazy. I was there that year. Like, we did, with Democracy Spring, we had done a civil disobedience for, like, voting rights outside of the convention. And people would come out saying, we walked out of the convention, they decredentialed us, and now there are paid actors sitting in the seats that we were in because they don't want it to look empty.
Right.
And I remember this was my first time getting into like real political activism. I was like,
that's what we're up against.
Seeing what's on TV and then hearing the reality on the ground and seeing the difference between the two.
You see
that's propaganda, my friends.
Right.
That's propaganda. Learn to recognize it, because they use it as a weapon against you constantly, all day, every day. It's like you get hit with it from every angle. And so this whole, like, the whole not being allowed into the press club thing, it's a very intentional act. I don't know who was in charge of making that decision. Was it the people at the press club, do you think?
They did say it was, when I asked, remember we asked, they said it was press club policy. I said, good, that means you can change it. And they looked at me like, that, what? And I'm like, no, if it's policy, it's not law. You can change it. You can change your policy.
Yeah.
Then they said, well, it's decided on by the board of governors. And it was like, okay, but still, it's, why couldn't you, to me, it's like, why can't you just change it? And it didn't make sense because I know for a fact there were people in there that were not vaxxed.
Yeah. Well, they were on the list, though.
But they were on the list.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't about the vax. It was about,
are you cool?
Or
you
just
a cool kid?
Really keeping the turnout down, keeping it low.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because if you have they had a lot of it was so funny because I could peek around the corner. I don't know if you noticed, they had a lot of chairs set up in the room, but they were empty. So it magnifies that, well, we had all this rolled out for you. So where's all the support for Julian?
Yeah.
Well, you're keeping it at the door. You're suppressing it, National Press Club. Is what you did. So,
way to go, National Press Club.
Yeah.
Really?
And it's so frustrating to me because I feel like people care about the case, I think. Like, even people who aren't showing up, who aren't talking about it, nobody I've heard is really like against us.
Right.
In the activist community.
Oh,
I mean, there are people I'm sure who are.
But
I'm saying
personally.
But I'm saying in general, it's not
against free press.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I know that if Assange were to be extradited to the U.S., a lot of the people who are quiet now would probably then become active because then it becomes more real to them. It becomes more
once it affects
obvious.
them. We've seen that with certain content creators.
But they wait until that last moment.
Yeah, well, they like to talk about censorship and these people should be censored and they should be deplatformed until it happens to them, and then all of a sudden it's a problem.
Well,
and we see you.
They're talking about my GoFundMe's and how am I gonna pay the bills? It's like, sorry. Don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, no, and you're right though, Kobe. People are interested in this case, and I think my friend Alex Hills actually noticed this. Democracy Now!, we just talked about it, did the segment on the Siggy thing. They had Jen Robinson on, and if you go and you look at their YouTube page, so the videos that where Amy does the headlines, those always get lots of views, 75,000, whatever. But most of the just the segments, the clips, they don't get a ton of views. But if you go and look at the Julian Assange one, it got a ton of views. I think people are thirsty for information on this case. People are interested. They're curious. I think especially now with the Siggy thing coming out, I think a lot of people are starting to realize what level of bullshit we're dealing with. And they're starting to come around. I think a lot of people who were skeptical or maybe had kind of bought into the propaganda or weren't really sure, didn't really know where they stood, are starting to come around.
I had noticed a lot of that, like where people weren't sure, they didn't really know. It was like a lot of younger activists who, they weren't around for the Iraq logs. They weren't around for the DNC leaks. So to them, Julian Assange is just a name. You know what I mean? It's not actually real to them. They might, if you explain it to them and tell them the implications of the case, they'll agree. But then, you have to go down the rabbit hole of, what happened in 2016. You have to go to the rabbit hole of the sexual assault accusations. There are so many rabbit holes to explain that nobody wants to go, even if they believe you that you're telling the truth about the case because they think that you're serious and they can tell you're making good points. It's so hard for people to fully trust us because they don't have the full context of everything.
And also, I think sometimes the more passionate and excited we are, the excitable we are, because we know It's it's like falling through the looking glass. It's like once you know, you can't unknow what you know,
Yeah.
and you realize how outrageous it is and what a threat it is to a free society.
Well, it's hard for people to believe that there's all these like coincidences where, well, this witness falls apart, well, this charge fell apart.
Right.
So you almost start to sound like you're
crazy
that crazy
person.
conspiracy theorist.
Exactly.
And
you play
And it's only
into
because we've been
that.
involved in the story for like 10 years
Right,
now that's
right.
why it's so serious to us. That's why we like know it so confidently.
Yeah.
But for somebody who's just exposed to it, how are they supposed to go to their shitlib friends and tell them, well, their shitlib
And it's
friend,
really
their
hard.
shitlib friend says something about Trump or the sexual assault case, and this person doesn't want to sound like they're defending Trump or sexual assault, and they don't know how to explain it away.
Right.
So they collapse. So then it makes Julian look guilty.
And that's why they did the decade-long smear campaign. They've been manufacturing consent for exactly what's happening right now this entire time. And it is really difficult because it's when you're talking to somebody like an uninitiated person, somebody who doesn't really know anything about it, there is so much information that it's really hard not to overwhelm people. It's
you
a
have
lot.
to kind of like give it to them in little doses.
Yes. And it's hard for me because I get really excitable, like Kobe just said, and I get really dramatic and I just start blah, 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 and it all just comes out. And then people are just looking at me like, you're fucking crazy.
Well, that's the thing
And-
is they use that. That's
Mhm.
exactly what it is.
Mhm.
They use that as a poor optics for us.
Yep.
And we play into exactly what they have painted on us.
Mhm.
And it's like, so I really try myself to stay calm. And
I don't.
I know. And like you, but you have your appeal, like we talked about earlier. We're not always going to appeal to the same slice and demographic.
Right.
So play to your strengths. And
That's
as
right.
long as we're on message, I look at my situation. I'm a corporate person. I'm a business person. I'm a CEO. People look at me like, what the hell are you doing? And it's like, you do realize that, you and I had that conversation
Mhm.
earlier. It's like, I'm a small business person. I actually pay the taxes that Jeff Bezos doesn't pay. And I have to pay more because he's not paying. Okay, so I'm one of those people who would absolutely sign the petition to send him out to Mars or outer space and don't come back.
Please.
See
Because
those videos.
you're not
That's a good
helping us
solution.
anyways,
If they want to give up on this
Yeah.
planet, we can take care of it. That's
Right.
how my friend thinks.
Seriously,
And that's
all
just
the
more space
billionaires,
trash,
yeah,
But it's
all
so
the
interesting,
billionaires
like,
can go.
Talking about like the different angles to people appealing to different people for this case.
Mhm.
You have some people who are just coming at it from the Assange angle. You have some people who are maybe conservative and they support Assange. Or you have some people who are liberal and they support
There's
Assange.
Trumpers
Or in
that
this,
support
and
Assange.
I've tried to like do this thing where like
Oh,
I
Trump
was
is
at
like Assange.
I was at a lot of the Black Lives Matter protests last summer. I got big into like abolition
Yeah.
activism and stuff
Mhm.
like that and political prisoners. So now I've been doing a lot of research on like Mumia Abu-Jamal and other
Mhm.
political prisoners who are going through similar persecution
Right,
type of thing.
right.
So that way people will know like, yeah, I care about Julian Assange. I think this is important because I care about WikiLeaks, but like
But there are other things.
but I am multifaceted. Like that's not the
Right,
only issue I
right.
care about. That's what I care about today. That's what I care about this month, this summer.
Right.
But that's not the center of who I am. That's just where
Right.
I've chosen to pour my
People
energy
like to
right
pretend
now.
it's the center of who I am, and they like to pretend
Yeah.
that I'm a
I've
cult.
seen that. I've
I'm
seen
a
that.
cult leader, you
I've seen
guys. I'm a
Yeah.
nice
So
cult
you don't
leader,
have a
though.
balanced life outside of this either. Like you aren't doing other things.
And
Right,
there's always that
yeah.
criticism. It's like, well, why are you only talking about Assange? Well, because no one is.
Right.
And if
Yeah,
no one is
exactly.
talking about Assange,
We have
And
to
that's a
be.
problem.
I would love
We
to not
need to
have to
fill
do
the
this all the
void.
time.
Right.
I genuinely would love to not have to. That's why we started I didn't start Action for Assange. That's an
Right.
unfair thing to say, but that's why Action for Assange was started.
right?
Right.
They were hoping to be able to start a movement and then make it into a decentralized movement where there were groups like's happening right now.
Right.
Like these people right here in DC, this is what when we
Right.
started Action for Assange, this is exactly what we were hoping would happen. And we see like in Tulsa and, there's groups popping
Denver.
up, Denver, North Carolina, there's groups popping up all over the place. And that's how we have to start. And you're right, though. There's a monumental blackout on this case, which means I have to talk about it all the fucking time
No,
because nobody else
I think it
will.
was great how much you talked about it, despite everybody criticizing you for
I don't
only
give a
focusing
fuck.
on that, how they perceived it. Because to me, that was what helped pull me to get more involved. Because I would see all the things you're saying about it,
And all,
and then
all the crap.
and I
she
know
gets,
the
too.
people that were throwing shit at
The
you
income.
would agree with you. Like a lot of people who were throwing shit at you, I know that ideologically they should agree with what you're saying.
Mhm.
And so it'd be like, and I realizing that there's not a lot of people filling the void right now. This is a really personal case to me, even though I'm not doing any activism around it. Like I know this situation really
Mhm.
well. So then I started getting more involved so people could see, so that those people who would be our allies if they only understood I was trying to humanize you to them so that they would understand why somebody like you
I don't give
would
a
pour
fuck.
all your energy
Honestly,
into it.
fams, I do not care. You don't have to like me. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's
I
not
do
about-
not.
it's
It's
not
not about
popularity
me. And the
contest.
fact that people make it about, oh, well, I don't like her, so therefore I can't fight for Assange.
Right.
You're fucking dumb. You're a child. This is
Right.
bigger than that. It's bigger than me. And again, you don't have to like me. It's not like I take my ego out of this. I have no ego in this. I'm willing to help anybody. I just said, even the people who hate me, if you want to join on, like, if you want to come on board, I welcome you. Like, I'll hang out with you. We can work events together. I'm totally down for that. Because I don't care. This is not about me. You can come at me all day long. I'm still going to keep doing this because it's important. And it's so much bigger than, your ego, my ego, or whatever. This is literally the future of the First Amendment. We are this close to losing it. We've been the attack on
Teetering.
Yes,
Teetering.
it's
We're
been going on for
teetering.
decades, but over the past 10 or 15 years, it has ramped up exponentially. Obama went fucking crazy. He went after more journalists and whistleblowers than all other presidents combined. He tortured Chelsea Manning.
I thought it was so interesting. So how do you feel about this?
But
So
he
I
had the
remember
good wisdom
at the end of his
not to
presidency, the excuse that they had given was, we're not going to go against Assange because it'll set the precedent for all the other corporate media. But Assange had been running in the first place because he feared that there was a sealed indictment for him, and it was never denied that this sealed indictment existed. So it's almost like the Obama administration saying that. How do we know for sure that there wasn't this sealed indictment? We never
There
knew
was
that.
a sealed
That's what I'm saying. So the
indictment,
Obama
and
administration was almost trying to make themselves look like they weren't trying to set this precedent when really
Obama's
subversively
worried
they were.
about his legacy.
Yeah.
That's all it was. He didn't want to be known as the guy that killed the First Amendment, so they put it on Trump. And Trump's dumb, and so he went along with it. He
It's the
thought,
same thing he did with Dabble.
yes.
He didn't, he kicked the can down the road
I
with
was
Trump, and
nervous
he knew.
about that.
Yeah, me too.
He
knew Trump was-
didn't say anything about the DAPL because Hillary Clinton was running for president at the time,
Right,
and she
right.
wasn't saying anything about the
But he
DAPL.
kicked the
He
can-
waited till
kicked
after
the
the
can
he
down
waited
the
till
road.
after the election.
Right.
He
Yes.
specifically waited for 3 months of protesters getting the shit beat out of them.
Yep.
Before he finally
We'll
spoke
see
up.
how it plays out.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fuck you, dude.
Elizabeth Warren was quiet on it back then.
Yeah, no, Elizabeth Warren was worse than quiet. Like, she used Native American heritage to personally benefit herself and then
Yeah,
didn't
that
say
was
shit.
ugly. That was an ugly
And
moment.
Yeah.
how about
Being from
Bernie?
Massachusetts,
When
I can
he's
tell you.
asked by someone, "Oh, I'll get back to you," he's asked by somebody at a rally in passing. He's not even going to talk about
About
it on
Julian?
stage. Yeah,
He
somebody-
ran away.
Yeah, somebody
Right?
just comes and say, "Hey, do you have a statement about Julian?" Hey, we'll get back to you. We'll get back
No, I can't
But he
talk
talks
about that
about
right
Navalny,
now.
though, right?
Yes, he talks
He
about
talks about
Navalny.
Navalny.
He's real quick to go and defend.
yeah.
Okay, so we can also talk about the government of Australia, because Australia will go to bat for Alexei Navalny. They'll put out statements, all kinds of shit, but they won't talk about their own fucking dude. I mean, he's an Australian citizen, and the Australian government has been completely silent. There are some MPs now, I
Yeah,
think.
they're definitely like 3 or 4 MPs.
No,
that
there's
they're
like
talking
20.
about.
I think
Is there that
John
many?
Shipton said there's like 22 out of 220.
Today there was something with that.
And there's
Yeah.
MPs picking up in the UK too.
Yeah,
Jeremy
no,
Corbyn. Jeremy
okay,
Corbyn
so
even
that's
talked.
another thing we could talk about, because Jeremy Corbyn and a couple other people literally, they're MPs. They are elected
Right.
officials within the government, right? They had to go a couple days ago and protest their own government to be able to have a video conference with Julian Assange just to see if he's actually okay. Because frankly, most of us
Right.
that are involved, we want to hear from him. It's been a very long time since any of us have heard a word from him, have seen him. His own partner just recently saw him for the first time since October. And I think that we should be able to see him and hear him and know that he's okay.
I agree.
He's
I
being
don't think
treated
they want to
terribly.
do that because
No.
he's probably so deteriorated and decrepit looking. It's only going to add.
Yes.
The optics again are not going to be good.
He's being tortured, y'all.
Yeah.
Tortured. Like, this is not a joke. I'm not like, it's not hyperbolic.
is.
I'm not being
No.
dramatic. This
He's
is
being
Nils
tortured.
Melzer.
The UN rapporteur on torture said it
The
was
UN
torture.
Special Rapporteur on Torture,
And
and
the
was saying,
doctors.
yes, he took 2 doctors. Normally they only take 1. He took 2. All 3 of them examined him individually, and he is 100% a torture victim. There is no debating it. And your silence is complicity. If you are silent on that, you are
Silence
so
is
complicit.
crazy.
violence.
It's so
Yeah.
crazy how that's going to be the thing that might potentially save him from all this. Because I remember that judge, when they waived the trial originally, they didn't want to rule either way on the freedom of the press issue. They completely abstained from the freedom of the press
They
question.
didn't abstain. They agreed
No.
with
Did
the
they
U.S.
agree with it?
prosecution.
Okay,
They
100%.
100% agree with the U.S.
So I thought they
prosecution.
hadn't
Yeah.
even made an opinion.
No.
on it. They just went to the
No.
fallback
The
opinion.
decision spoke.
You should have seen us. We
So
did.
it's safe.
We live streamed it. It was like
Yeah.
4:00 in the fucking morning. We were
Right.
here in DC and we live streamed it. It was me, Kristen, Steve, and Andrew. We're sitting on a couch in this crappy ass Airbnb, and it's 4:00 in the morning. And she's going through point by point by point like agreeing. It's like, and okay, no cameras are allowed. There's no reporters allowed. So like reporters are like live tweeting. That's all, like the only access we had to the most important court case on press freedom in history. The only access we had was trying to follow live tweets from like Kevin Gostola. Yeah, or Mo. So that was our access. And so we're sitting there and we're reading out like Kevin Gostola's tweets, and it's like shitty tweet after shitty tweet. And if you go back and watch that live stream, I am furious. I'm sitting on the end, like where Kobe would be sitting next to Kristen. And I'm just like, I didn't say a word. Steve's like, you can talk. And I'm like, I'm pissed and I don't want to talk because I'm going to say mean things. I just sat there like stewing. I've never been in a fight. I'm not a violent person in any way. I was ready to fight people. I was pissed off. And then all of a sudden we get to the end, and then there's like this one, like there's a tweet that they say, it's like something that it sounded kind of positive, and I was confused. And you can see my head, like I'm looking down at my phone, like trying to watch the live tweets. And all of a sudden my head whips up. I'm like, what did you just say? And then the next one Steve reads out loud is no extradition. And we sat there for like,
I was so confused that day.
Probably like a minute and a half, like trying to figure out what was happening exactly. And I still don't really know what happened.
She threaded the legal needles, what you call
Yes,
it. She threaded she gave exactly, and I'm sure it took her a while to come up with that decision, but she gave them exactly what they needed.
She was handed
She
that
left the
decision.
door
She didn't
open.
make that decision.
Well, she wrote it enough to leave the door open. Whoever collaborated on it, they knew exactly how to do
it's very, very smart in the sense that
it was very.
They'll be able to. I imagine this is probably their best case scenario to end this would be they keep that precedent set.
Mm-hmm.
They let him go so that the drama goes away.
Yep.
So that next time they need to do the same thing, maybe they'll have a better, more PR friendly to their position, where they can set the precedent without backlash. Because with Julian, there's going to be too much backlash if they send him to the U.S.
The number one thing is they left the sword of Damocles over all journalists. It's still hanging there.
Yep.
Which journalists? Where the fuck are you?
Yeah.
Where are you? I'm not even kidding.
It's very convenient that Ryan Grimm is like coming on now. Like, hey, we have to accept all.
No,
the help
I
that
accept
we
him.
get.
He's still a douche canoe.
But it's like, where has he been this whole time? He's been like talking about nonsense rather than like Julian Assange. I mean, there's plenty of people like Ryan. I mean, it's just they pose on Twitter, they pose on their platform, whatever it is, but they just don't talk about the real issues. They don't even care.
They can't. Like. They don't want to tick. They do not want to tick off
their billionaire owners.
They can't. They are.
I mean, Ryan Grimm cashes
problem.
a paycheck from billionaires. That's. I mean,
that's definitely the big difference between like an independent journalist and somebody who works for an outlet.
Even independent journalists suck.
Yeah,
I'm gonna call you out
they have the same perception
because they're aspiring. A lot of them.
I know,
want to
but that's a problem.
Right.
I was on Fault Lines the other day with Jamarl, and he was like, "Well, why do you think people don't cover it?" We've been told straight up, we won't touch this because it'll affect our channel. Right. We'll get demonetized. We'll lose subscribers. It'll affect our clicks, whatever. And you're a fucking coward. This is bigger.
Are you telling me he said that?
What?
Jamal.
Who said that to you?
Yeah, Jamarl asked me why people don't cover it. I kind of called him out on his own
That's
show.
Literally the fucking excuse he gave us. So
I know, and Sleepy Josh. I literally called him out on his own show.
He woke up.
That's Sleepy Josh. I not directly, but he was like, "Well, I don't think that's the reason." I'm like, "No, people have told us that," and he was like, "Oh, really? Yes."
Yeah, you motherfucker.
Yeah, I didn't mean to. I did kind of mean to, but yeah,
it's toxic.
I had to jump in there.
That's all right, Sleepy Josh. Sleepy, you're welcome to jump in anytime, fam. I don't know why you're always so quiet. Also, Jesse Jet was just in the chat, and I love me some Jesse Jet. So what's up, fam?
I see you.
I love him. Jesse's gonna come to. I don't know if the March for M4A people have announced it yet, but I'm gonna fucking do it now because I'm tired of waiting. But Jesse Jet's coming to Columbus.
Oh shit!
I'm so excited. We're gonna get high together, and then I'm gonna get to announce him on stage at the march because I'm the MC, and it's gonna be so much fun.
Weed is legal here.
Much love.
Is it?
The March for Medicare for All on July 24th. There's events.
Is it Red Berets?
They're helping. There's been a lot of drama surrounding that, and I just want to say, listen, if you're still harping on that shit, okay, we can bitch about this because
that's a good thing to bitch about.
I see you. You know, we've been bitching about this. This is
y'all.
crazy.
Okay, and what's funny is that just recently Mike Figueredo is going to have this panel right with Pogs for Bernie, who is like a known like complete. I don't know if I want to go as far as calling her a neo-Nazi, but I might, because she's like, there are videos and pictures of her holding up the white supremacy symbol and
tweets of her saying the hard R N word.
Yeah,
What's
like
her
using
name?
Andrea or what the fuck
Oh,
ever. Who gives a
Bernie.
shit? Hogs for Bernie.
Yeah, no.
But she, and this is not like ages ago. This is like a few years
What I
ago.
found so interesting about that was the people who were against the Medicare for All March, people who said, "Oh,
are defending her."
I was gonna say they were like, "Oh, you invited on a Nazi to be your speaker. How did that mistake happen?" And it's like, guys, the mistake happened. Somebody corrected it that day.
Yeah.
They immediately corrected it.
Yeah, I remember that.
I said,
She made a whole ass video
Right.
calling me a
But
Nazi.
then the crazy thing was people would be like,
I do
"Oh, well, if you made that one mistake, that just means the whole effort is shit."
Yeah.
And it's like, do you not know that that's how organizing, like that happens, and
That happens
organizing
all-
mistakes happen like that?
No, and
The
I
same people
tweeted it
criticizing were the
out.
ones who you said were supporting Andrea. Too.
Yes,
They
and
were the same people
they
doing that.
don't even recognize
They
their
don't really
hypocrisy.
want Medicare for all.
No, it's a hashtag to them,
Right,
and it's
right.
fucking disgusting. I'm so
Well, they
over
want
these
to.
people.
Do you see the tweet where the person was like, "See, this is why you should have let the professionals organize."
Yeah, Jeff. Fuck
Yeah,
Jeff.
I was like-
G-off lives don't
Oh
matter.
my god.
G-off lives don't matter. They don't
It's like,
matter.
that's
Fuck
such an
that
elitist
guy.
way to organize. I'd rather have a decentralized organization
Yeah.
where maybe some dumbass shows up, but at least that dumbass supports Medicare for all.
They're
You-
trying to do something.
Yeah.
What are they trying to do?
Nothing.
What are these
Oh,
organized?
but Jeff promises.
Yeah.
Jeff, where you at, homie? Where's your event?
Well,
You
because if
told
you-
us you're gonna
I
organize
mean, if you think
one.
about it, when you go outside to a protest, if you have a loudspeaker and you're just handing the loudspeaker out to any old person who
Don't do
comes
that.
by, you know what I mean? That type of thing just would happen. That's just what happens
Yeah.
at protests.
Right.
Like, you
At
can't
least I don't-
always.
you can't
can
do
bet
that
as
at-
much as you want, but
You
the
can't do
mistakes
that at
happen.
an Assange protest. You can't just hand the megaphone to anybody, because there are some people who would legitimately try to like get on there and say some really damaging
To make us
shit.
look bad.
Yeah, and I got no time for that.
Well,
I
there's,
don't have
I
I
agree.
don't have time for
there's
that.
always
I agree.
plants too. There are
Yes.
plants that follow any.
And I
movement.
tweeted that. Listen,
Right.
y'all, this is not the first time that a leftist movement has been infiltrated. That has been happening
Happens all
since
the
the
time.
dawn of
Right.
time.
History
And the
of
fact
what
that you're
seems
like-
hyperventilating over it this time is very suspect. And the fact that you won't let it go days later is very suspect. Shut the fuck up and go organize something. These are people who
Well,
do
yeah.
nothing but
Right.
attack activists online. That's
Yeah.
all they do.
Well, that was like literally like a COINTELPRO tactic. I
Yes.
remember Nick, Socialist MMA, had shared
I
a
tweeted something out.
he shared the document where it was like, you know, ask as many questions about the smallest little details as you
Right.
can.
Right.
You know, rehash what happened yesterday as much as you can for as long as you can. You know,
Yeah.
constantly have meetings be as big as possible. Don't let there be small meetings. Like all sorts of tactics. Accuse other people of being cops. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Cop jacketing, Fed jacketing, which happens all the time.
Yep.
You see online, and
It's
it's
just
just
a
like,
manifesto for
Well, the-
basically
the problem becomes
mining a movement.
you have people who
is.
do it on purpose, and then you have people who do that on accident.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
And so it becomes
You're
hard to
looking at the chat,
distinguish
it's up there.
who is the
But I
bad
think
actor who's
it's-
purposely
I-
doing it.
I
and who's
think-
I can't really
getting
But the
think
out.
ones who are consistently doing it, it's not accidental.
No.
There's a certain amount of intellectual curiosity and critical thinking skills you should have, but the ones that are consistently are doing it, who bring nothing to the movement, who bring nothing, aren't productive, those are not activists.
No.
They dig down and find out who they're connected to. Follow that. If you do, you will find out they are not really active.
Let me be real clear. If you only care about putting your face out there in front of the issue and not about the issue at hand, and whether or not the message is getting across to the people, and not about whether or not you're distracting to that message, you're part of the problem, buddy.
Part of the problem.
And anybody who is out there attacking listen, the March for Medicare for All people, I've talked to them. Obviously, they've invited me to be an MC, which is brave of them.
Yeah.
They've gotten a lot of shit for
Yeah,
that
so all the
already.
shit that you
I warned them, but they were very brave. They're like, we want you. And I'm like, okay, that's great. But these are all genuinely hardworking, dedicated, passionate people who are kind of new at this. They haven't
Yeah.
really ever organized before.
Ricky Rance.
Yes, and this Sharif, he's amazing. He's such a great guy. And they're trying, and it's overwhelming. And they maybe took on too much, a little bit more than they could handle. But they're trying the best that they can. And the problem that just came up, they dealt with that within hours. They were told, they examined it for themselves, they dealt with it, it was taken care of. And the fact that people are still attacking them, people like Savage Joy, who I've had my problems with, she hated me because I used to criticize Bernie. That's fine. She's still a great activist, and she's still a passionate person who's doing the best that she can. And there should be no reason for people to be attacking her on such a personal level that she's in tears all day. That's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you're going to get into organizing, please listen to me. You need thick skin. you need very thick skin because people will come for you. I mean, just look at my Twitter feed for an example. People will come for you
In a big way.
in a big way
I was
from
say,
every angle.
just my Twitter account going from like 1,000 to 3,000 followers, and just a little bit of extra
Just
shit
wait
that came
till
with
you
that.
get to
I say
10.
then I started to look at like other profiles who are bigger than me. I'm like, dang,
No,
I can't imagine what you must get on a day-to-day basis.
10,000 was really when it became ridiculous.
I mean, I've had people send some really
Ridiculous.
nasty things to me in my DMs before, and I'm like, and a lot of
Oh,
times
I have my DMs
it'll be
turned
like-
off.
they see one tweet from like one angle,
Yeah.
and they explode it as if that's all of who you are,
Dude,
and
I
they
had
pretend they don't know
somebody
anything else about you.
I had
They only know
somebody
that one thing.
take a tweet of mine. Like they were like, here, you said this really terrible thing. So I went and looked at it, and it was a conversation I'd had with the person who was trying to use it, who went back to that thread and deleted all of their tweets. So there was no context whatsoever to what I'm saying. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, but I'm a snarky bitch. And I say things off the cuff and like just, you know what I mean? And I have no filter. And so shit just comes out. And so my sarcasm with no context, you can't use that as a gotcha. Fuck out of here.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
But people
People
do.
do that. They will
People
do that, but they do it all the time.
They just want that one screenshot, and then everyone will jump on
And
it. And that's
oh
what
my god,
happens.
okay.
It's
So the
ridiculous.
stalker squad's ridiculous because there are like a bunch of them that follow me, and they follow me
Like Jeff?
solely. Yes, no, Jeff's had me blocked since 2018. Are you
Oh,
kidding?
okay.
He blocks fucking everybody. He has his little minions and probably a bunch of alt accounts that he also runs because he has plenty of them. But what they do is they just follow me, and then whatever I tweet, it doesn't matter. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. I'll tweet something, and within 3 minutes, there are multiple accounts who have screenshots of it and are bitching about it.
They're looking for you.
They're waiting. They're waiting for me to tweet. You guys need a life. I'll say it again. Get a plant.
Yeah.
Get a fucking plant.
Go outside.
Or
But
go
Touch
that's-
grass.
But that's a sign you're doing. It's a sign you're doing something right, though, right? Because like
Yeah,
once they,
it's just
if
annoying.
they're ignoring you, that means you're not actually having an impact. But if you've reached the level where they feel the need to start attacking you,
It's just
then
annoying.
you've kind of
That's
stepped
all.
up your activism.
Well, isn't that
Especially-
saying first they ignore you, then they laugh at you, then
Yeah.
they attack you.
Well, I was
Then
telling
you win.
Suzanne
Then you win.
earlier,
Then you win.
I am
Right.
literally the most boring person. Like I am a mom. I have too many cats. Like I'm not like you guys have me like this weird mental picture where I'm like this super secret Nazi spy who's like sent to
I mean, you're
infiltrate
not
the left.
meeting
They
with
think
Putin.
all Assange supporters are that.
Oh.
Though. That's the thing is there are people. Their whole perception of Assange supporters is like alt-right people.
Yeah,
Like that's what they think all of us are.
they're really
And
nice.
that's what people think. That is
Yeah.
genuinely what some people
They
think,
really
and they
do
won't
think
associate
that.
with us at all because of the
But-
Roger Stone email or the DMs. They've taken that to mean that anybody who's associated with Assange
Not
is
true.
that.
Not
But this-
truth passion. It's just alt-right.
This is
Yes.
what we're trying to do.
They don't
with
go to
Action
the-
for
they don't actually know
Assange,
much about the case.
though,
It's
right?
like,
and they don't know much about truth.
It's their stereotype,
Right.
their initial reaction
Yeah.
to us. Yeah.
But this is what we're trying to do with Action for Assange, right? Like this is not about like your
It's
team.
post-partisan.
This is
Right,
about
right.
whether or
They don't
not
get-
we
they don't
care
wanna get
about
that.
this man who's a journalist who simply published information
War
should be
crimes.
free, and it's embarrassing. Embarrassing information. So of course people are going to want to hide that,
Mhm.
but it can't be about my favorite politician hasn't said anything about Assange. No, it can't be.
Your
about
favorite
that.
politician is trash, ma'am.
Sorry to
all
break
of
it to
them.
You shouldn't have favorite politicians.
No.
You
I said
should
people
have
have-
favorite
no, people-
policies, but politicians.
People have
Yeah.
this
no.
problem where
Cult of personality.
if there's somebody like, the cult of personality, if there's somebody they like and they hear something bad that's just objectively they would disagree with, they need to find some sort of angle or reason to excuse whatever they had done bad.
justify,
And they'll do it over. I mean, I'll admit, that's how I was with the squad for like a year or two. I kept thinking, oh, well, they're just doing 3D chess, right? They're just doing that because they have to. or- No, but then after a while, it got so repetitive, and it got to the point where AOC's calling Nancy Pelosi Mama Bear. They're not forcing the vote on Medicare for all. They're abstaining on a vote to defund the police or to give police more money. And then I'm like, whoa. This is way more than 3D chess. This is like they're actually compromising on the principles like 100%.
they're
that they ran
sabotaging the
That they ran
movement.
at.
Yeah, that they ran.
Yeah,
Exactly.
no, this
they,
is-
they had shifted from what they portrayed themselves as insurgents who were going to shake things up.
create a ruckus.
Yeah, and then they very quickly, within the course of the first term,
Right.
acquiesced.
Well,
Right,
the biggest thing
right.
that they said that they were running for was to challenge the Democratic establishment. And
Right.
people seem to forget that because I get it all the time. Why aren't you focusing on Republicans? Because I know who the fuck Republicans are.
Yeah.
The
Clear.
squad promised us things. They told us that they were going to go and they were going to hold Nancy Pelosi accountable. They were going to challenge her. They were going to fight for Medicare for all and $15 an hour and a Green New Deal. And the Green New Deal is garbage. They wouldn't force the vote. And they said that they weren't going to force the vote because $15 an hour was more doable. And then when it came time to fight for $15 an hour, they didn't even show up for that either.
No.
They completely rolled over on that as well. And they're continuing to do it. They're giving Joe Biden A's and saying that he's exceeded expectations. And these are your fucking progressive heroes. Like, it's just, stop it.
They supported force the vote like a year or two ago. Like, I remember there's a video of AOC.
Chuck Schumer's going to
explicitly
force the vote.
AOC explicitly said,
Yeah.
Nancy Pelosi doesn't want to put Medicare for all up for a floor vote.
She says we can't
she doesn't
even get
want
a
people
floor
to show
vote.
their hands where they stand on.
Yeah.
it. And then when force the vote happened, they're like, oh, well, it doesn't matter if they show their hands where they stand on it because they could just lie.
Yeah.
And it's like, but you were just a year ago saying the opposite. So,
No, you're
like,
not
what
supposed to
happened?
remember a year ago.
Yeah, I
No.
say, what happened?
Not
No.
a year ago. Don't even remember
Hey,
3 months
Ryan,
ago.
Ryan's in the chat. Ryan, he's from Akron. He does amazing on the ground work. He's an incredible activist. He has a YouTube channel. I cannot for the life of me remember what it's called right now. I'm sorry, Ryan. Ryan, you should put it in the chat. But he does amazing work in Akron. He especially like with homeless populations.
Nice.
So follow his YouTube channel if you can, and if you're in the Akron area, please support his efforts. I try to retweet his stuff when he sends it to me. But yeah, you should
Good
definitely.
stuff.
He's like a really like legit on the ground doing the work kind of a guy. So
Nice.
support
Nice.
all those people that you. Okay, so these people who attack activists all the time, they're not doing the work. Find people who are doing the work and support the shit out of them
Yeah.
because they're getting attacked. I mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, look what they're doing to Rome, for God's sake. The dude's out there feeding
Yeah.
people. They're trashing him. And they're trashing him because of things that he said a few years ago. But Andrea's fine, y'all. No double standard there whatsoever. It's okay.
I wonder why.
Oh, they're so gross, you guys. They really are incredibly disgusting.
Mm.
I think that, the Assange thing is going to be interesting to see how the U.S. prosecution handles this, how the DOJ handles this. I'm really excited to go to the front door of the DOJ tomorrow and yell.
Yeah.
Me
That's
too.
going to be fun. I'm
Yeah.
going to, I meant to bring my poster boards in. I have some, I brought some blank poster boards and I'm going to write Siggy lied, free Assange on. I would really like lots of people to show up. So if you're in the DC area, we're going to be there at noon for sure until 2. It's supposed to rain tomorrow, but it's not like it'll be the first time we've had to protest in the rain. We've done it before. We'll do it again. I think we did it the last time I was here. So hopefully it won't be too bad. We'll see.
And then also tweet and share the hell out of everything.
Yes, seriously, that's one of the biggest thing the biggest hurdle that we have right now is overcoming the blackout. Just getting information out is a huge mountain to climb. It's really difficult. And again, like we said earlier, I understand that the Assange case is very complex. A lot of people aren't super comfortable with talking about it. You don't have to be an expert. You do not have to be an expert. You can become an expert. You can do that. But you don't have to be one now. There are lots of resources out there. Caitlin Johnstone, for example, has an incredible article that has, 30 some odd different smears that Julian Assange has had to face and the rebuttals to it. That's a great resource if you're interested in the Assange case or trying to help us build up the movement for freeing him. That's a great, bookmark that. You need that in your arsenal. But there's a ton of stuff. There's articles that Nils Melzer has written or given, John Pilger, Craig Murray. For the love of God, follow Craig Murray. He's amazing.
What's going on with Craig Murray now? Didn't he get
He's
charged
in
with something
trouble.
too? I was going to say something related.
They're going to appeal. Craig Murray's going to appeal. Interesting. Craig Murray's not in jail while they're waiting for appeal like Julian Assange is. He actually wrote an article about that. You can tell the very stark difference between the way the cases are being handled. But he's facing 8 months in prison. He has a 3-month-old infant at home right now. He's in poor health to begin with. And it's essentially for journalism. Again, this is just another one of those things where he's being charged for journalism. And it's really scary that this is happening.
I want to connect that
Wasn't
to
it for revealing some?
So I
Some
forget what it's
source. It was
called.
revealing some witness
He
source.
didn't reveal it, but I
Which he
forget what it's
didn't,
called.
yeah.
The word is escaping me right now, but
Right.
there's a term for
for
it
it.
where you buy.
Jigsaw identification.
What is it?
Jigsaw identification.
Jigsaw. Okay,
Right.
so,
they
thank
can
you.
figure it out.
Yes.
very
So
easily.
by your reporting,
Right,
you put details in your story that make it easy for people to figure out
like
who you're
accidentally
talking
dox
about.
them.
Right.
Yes,
You-
essentially.
Yeah. That's what it
And
is.
that's what he's being charged with,
Right.
and it's fucking crazy.
Mm.
And these attacks on journalism are only going to continue to increase. We've seen it. I mean, we see it in the States. This isn't just happening.
Yeah, I was
in
going
the
to say, I posted on Twitter earlier today about the case of Mumia Abu Jamal.
Mhm.
And when I was listening to it on the drive here, it's so crazy, the parallels between what happened to Mumia and what happened to Assange.
Mhm.
Now, it's different in the case that Mumia is accused of murder with all sorts of fake evidence that doesn't make
Mhm.
sense. But the FBI had been spying on Mumia since he was 15 years old because they said he had a tendency to go out into public events and speak publicly.
Oh, God
So they
forbid.
How
started-
dare you?
Yeah, COINTELPRO, literally COINTELPRO had
Yeah.
spied on Mumia. Mumia was one of the journalists who covered the Move bombing in Philadelphia, where the police dropped a bomb on an entire neighborhood in Philadelphia. Mumia was one of the
Wow.
he was a Black Panther. He was covering all that, and they accused him of murder. There was witnesses that reminded me of Siggy in the sense that there had been witnesses where they had given them immunity
Mhm.
in exchange for them to
That's what they
snitch
do.
on Mumia.
Yeah.
And they would intimidate one of those witnesses again and again until her story kept changing to line more and more up with the prosecution. Eventually, they found out that half those witnesses were lying and like
Mhm.
literally just under the coercion of the police. The police were being spied on, or the police were being police chief was being investigated by the FBI. The judge, one of the judges in the case of Mumia, said, "I'm going to help them fry that N-word."
Oh my
Mhm.
God.
So it's like the depth of that trial. They wanted to throw the death penalty at him. He was facing a death penalty case for like 15 years.
So where is he now?
He's
sitting
still in
jail?
prison. He's still in
Yeah,
jail.
he's still in prison. He
Huh?
actually
For how long?
spoke.
He's been there for 30 years, 40
Yeah,
years almost now.
Yeah, and
He does journalism from prison.
He spoke.
speaks up for Assange.
Yeah, he spoke
Can you
at one of
find
the Assange events. I'm actually looking. Somebody asked for an update on the billboard campaign that Daniel's doing. Yeah, Daniel, our friend from. Why is he not coming up?
Daniel Becketer.
Yeah.
Daniel.
I think he's on vacation right now. We love you, dude. Okay,
man.
so he has his first billboard up in North Carolina, and he's
Oh.
working on funding for the second one. He's at $770. His goal is $1,500. So if you guys can donate to that, that would be great. I paused the Ohio billboard stuff right now so that Daniel, we're going to kind of bounce it around so that we can get different demographics. It's hard to say. So that is where we are at on the billboards. I hope that answers your question. I can't really read the chat from here. I feel blind.
Neither can I.
I
Put my
can't-
glasses
I
on.
can't
It's
see
like
it.
coffee.
I'm sitting there
I have
going,
good
how do
vision.
you even read it?
I know.
have
Well,
pretty good-
Yeah,
all I
that's
saw,
crazy.
I saw my name because like that caught my attention was my name. And then I saw a billboard beside it, and then I was like, okay, I can. Okay.
Wow.
And then I had to like
That's
kind of
impressive.
squint. Yeah.
It is
yeah.
impressive. I'm sitting there going, I don't see
I'm
anything.
pretty
I see
blind. If
that.
I took my glasses off, there's no way. Not happening. Yeah, but this is what they always do. I mean, if you look at what happens in Guantanamo Bay, we covered a story on the Assange vigils where there was one guy who snitched on like 93 people in 84 minutes.
That's the fundamental flaw of torture itself.
Yeah.
Is that when you're torturing somebody,
They'll tell you
they
whatever
literally
you want to
admit-
hear.
All the studies admit it's a 50-50 accuracy
Mhm.
rate, which means half the time they tell you the truth, half the time they lie to make you stop torturing them.
I would bet it's even less than that.
Yeah, I was gonna say because I would
I
always
know,
just lie to make them
actually,
stop
I
torturing.
saw a
you.
show on that, and then the group, remember that consulting group that was involved with at Gitmo?
I don't know what your
All
specific
right, there
one we're
was
talking
this
about.
particular consulting group. It turned out that they were really shaky. Okay, they didn't have the credentials they said they would have. They were saying that they had this wonderful reveal rate. So people would give up the secrets. So that the Department of Defense and the CIA, NSA, everybody got in. Fine, let's do this. So they get in, and Gina Haspel, who was the Gina Haspel,
CIA director at the
CIA
time. Yep.
director. No, she wasn't at the time.
Not at the
She
time.
was on the
She was
ground.
just a torturer.
She was the director of the torture. She was
Mhm.
overseeing the torture program.
More
She got-
lady torturers.
Yeah.
Girl power.
Girl power. So she got sold on that. She went with it, and they ended up pulling the whole thing because it was worse. It was not even close. I don't even think it was close to 50%.
Yeah.
It
I
was
wouldn't be
really
surprised.
bad. And our tax dollars paid for that
Mhm.
Mhm.
and kept paying for it.
And they should have.
It
I
was
thought they
cold.
should have. What's it called? Impeached George Bush over that. But I heard a big reason why they didn't was because
Nancy
Nancy
Pelosi.
Pelosi and the Democrats also signed off on the torture program. So
Yeah,
it would have been
they
against
did.
them. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Your
I was saying, so it would
supports her.
have shown them to be complicit. So that's why they couldn't.
Nancy
impeach them for that.
Pelosi is she should be in the Hague too for
Well,
covering
thank
up
God
torture.
Obama got rid of. Wait.
We tortured some folks. It's fine, you guys. If you say it like with a cute little accent and you're a charming guy, it's fine. It's just a little torture between who cares?
It's
a good,
just
good,
conversational inducement.
right?
I mean, he
What do
literally
they call
ran
it?
on
Enhanced
ending. He
interrogation.
ran on closing Guantanamo. He ran on ending the war.
That was going to be his first
Yeah.
100 days.
Yeah,
He
literally.
was going to
He ran on
Literally.
Medicare for all, or at least a public option. Jimmy Dore just showed a really interesting video of him from like when he was running. Where
How
he
was
like,
that interview with Jimmy yesterday? I
It
didn't
was
see
really good. I was super nervous. I get like I don't know why I still get like super nervous, but I get super nervous. Like
Same.
even like just doing this. Like
Really?
I
It
don't know
doesn't
why.
come across.
People say that all the time.
You're doing
Trust
well.
me. I get nervous. Public speaking's worse though. This is not as bad as public speaking. I really hate.
Well, because it
public
feels like
speaking.
you're not public speaking. Right?
No, and that's we were talking about this earlier.
It looks like it seems like it's just us four.
I know.
Yeah.
I often forget that I'm
And a
on
bunch of
camera.
colorful dots.
23
Yeah.
Colorful dots.
Yeah, I often forget that I'm on camera and I say really dumb stuff because I forget I'm on camera. Especially on the Assange vigil, and it was even worse when Steve Boykin was on there because
Well, that's one of the things I like about long form podcasting is you really kind of get a feel for like who the person is.
Mhm.
Like regardless of what you think about Joe Rogan, like you definitely can get you can psychoanalyze him because he's
You feel
done
like you know him.
because he's done like
Yeah.
2,000 hours of podcasts. So if you've
He's
watched all that,
great.
you know his tendencies.
I don't
you know
care
what
what you think of his politics or whatever, but the way that he's able to interview people and
He's
get them to
very
say
talented.
things and talk and like that people talk about things they wouldn't ordinarily talk about when they're on his show, and that's valuable, in my opinion. I mean, if you
It just makes you feel comfortable.
Well,
talking.
why are we as a society at a point? And I I'm older than you guys, but I do remember like way back when being a kid, like we actually asked things that had probative value. You didn't have to agree with something. Like the news people, they were just really did try to do the whole neutral thing.
Right.
And now it's just like,
you can thank Bill Clinton for that in the telecommunications
yeah,
Act.
exactly.
Mm.
And there were some other things even before that and after that. But I look at it and it's like, I don't have to like you.
Nope.
You don't have to like me.
Nope.
I don't even have to care for all your points of view. I'm not like an absolutist. I don't need the 100% everything you say has to test out before I support you on Assange.
Right.
Okay.
That's what I want to
It's
know.
just so
like
dumb.
these people who think that you can't, for example, talk to Boogaloo Boys. First of all, I can talk to whoever the fuck I want. I'm a grown ass
It's
woman.
a free world. Right?
And if I want to talk to a Boogaloo Boy, I'll talk to. If I want to talk to whoever the fuck I want to, I'm allowed, and you don't get to tell me
The
I'm
frustrating
not.
thing is that everybody has a different standard of who they think you're allowed to talk to and who
Right.
you're not allowed to. And so it gets to the point where you're fearful of talking to anybody.
Right. Well,
Which is
that's
almost like
what-
what they want us to
isn't
do.
that
That's what
the point?
that's like
That's
they want us to
exactly
not be
right.
talking
Yeah,
to
that's
anybody
exactly
and
what
figuring
they
out where
want.
we agree on
we have
differences.
to be self-censoring so that we
Yes.
don't.
That's how we
So
got
they
where
don't
we
censor
are.
Yeah.
us. If
Yep.
we're self-censoring, then they don't have to censor.
Well, I
us.
want to know though, those people who think that, like, what do you have like a questionnaire that you make people fill out before you're willing to have a conversation with them? Like, if you are guilty of wrongthink on anything that they don't agree with you, then we can't be friends, we can't talk, we can't work together on an issue.
We
that
can't
care
end wars
about.
together.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't give a fuck. Here's the thing. I want to save the future of the First Amendment, and I don't give a fuck who I have to work with to make that happen. I want to end wars. I'm incredibly anti-imperialist. It's a non-negotiable for me.
Right.
And so if that means that I have to work with some Boogaloo Boys to get that done, then fuck yeah, I'm on board.
And
And the
maybe
fact
those-
that you're not means you don't care
Those
about
same
that.
people do that though in other aspects of their activism. They do work with people they don't agree with.
Well,
They're often the
that's
people who
what
want to go
Freddie-
into politics.
That's
Bernie,
what Freddie Hampton
Bernie-
was all about.
yeah, I'll say Bernie worked with Mike Lee to pass the bill to try to end the war in Yemen.
But that's
You know
fine
what I mean?
because they like Bernie, and so
Yeah.
that's fine. They don't recognize their own hypocrisy. It's no different than Andrea's fine, but Magnus is not. And Magnus is never. There's no videos of Magnus using the N word with a hard R. Not that the N word with an A is any better for a white girl. But there's no pictures of him throwing up the white supremacy symbol. But she's okay, and Magnus is not. You guys don't make any fucking sense. And the Boogaloo Boy thing pisses me off anyways, because y'all have just been fed propaganda through the mainstream media. You've just been told that they're terrible. And so that's what you believe. And you've done no independent research. How many of them, there was somebody, Pat the Burner, I'll call him out. I like Pat. I think he's a
I like
nice
Pat
guy,
too,
but
yeah.
he's like, I'm 100% working with, against working with Boogaloo Boys. And Steve's like, well, how many of you ever talked to? None. Well, that's really dumb. You're going to paint an
And
entire
I
group
can
of people.
tell you, I've met Magnus personally, like at
Yeah, I have too.
Clover. Because he was at Clover's in March,
Mhm.
and it's like this is a shy dude. Like he's not a threatening like.
He's like
No.
a hippie.
Like-
He's like a
Yeah.
He is.
See,
hippie,
what made
you know?
me realize
He's a
that
hippie who
the-
likes guns.
What made me think
Exactly.
that the
It's
Boogaloo
weird, but
narrative,
it's-
the anti-Boogaloo narrative, was a little bit exaggerated was like I had Facebook friends, one of whom was a Libertarian Party kind of guy
Oh,
who was
can't
who was
talk to
somebody,
libertarians.
but he was somebody who I like genuinely disagree with on more.
Mhm.
And then he had a friend who was a Bernie guy who thought of himself as a Boogaloo boy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Who had been saying that he was a
Well,
Boogaloo.
I gotta be
And I don't-
honest. You guys are way ahead of me on the
Yeah.
Boogaloo thing.
Yeah,
I
I,
will tell
hardly
you.
know what it is.
I'm not. I
Honest.
know about. I did it. I watched it.
Uh-huh.
I watched Door's things. I've listened to Misty. I will tell you very honestly. I'm not comfortable with them.
No, I
But
understand.
that's just
Oh,
me
word.
personally.
Understand.
I'm not going to indict Misty because she wants to have a dialogue with them, right? Because the example of Fred Hampton and the example of others people that came before him and since them. It's like we should be able to talk
Dialogue.
to anybody we
It's
want.
a conversation.
And I'm not going
And
to judge
here's
you
the
because you
thing.
want to talk to them.
Right.
I don't.
Having a
You
conversation
don't
with
need to.
somebody.
No, you don't
Right.
need to. Go
No, having a conversation with somebody does not then impose their beliefs onto you.
Unless you're really
I am
weak-minded.
I'm a grown up. I know who I am.
Well,
I know
some
what
of
I
us are
stand
uniquely
for.
positioned to persuade certain people.
Yeah.
You know, like that
That's
Facebook friend.
all.
That Facebook friend I had, he admit to me that he's not a boogaloo boy anymore because of this whole narrative, because he learned they're not good,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't have known that if I didn't actually like engage with him and try to talk. And so it's
right,
like it's because I recognized he was not like the other boogaloo.
It
boys.
pisses me off
But
when
so who
white
is
people.
he going to meet? He could influence.
Yeah.
If he
Mhm.
wants the same things, he could influence other people that we couldn't
Yes.
influence.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
But
So let
and
him
it
do
pisses
He has
me
a
off.
foothold somewhere we don't.
Right.
Yeah, and it pisses me off when white people are like, no, I'm not talking to any racist whatsoever. That is the height
are,
of
though.
fucking
Then are you going to talk to
privilege.
your father? Are
No,
you not going to talk
that
to your
is
father?
no.
or
They'll
your
disown.
uncle?
They disown people. People will disown. Like if you voted for Trump, then you're their brother. They'll disown you.
But it's okay if you voted for Biden.
Yes, yes. They don't even know their own hypocrisy. Again, it's the
Right.
double standards. If you voted for Joe Biden, you voted for a fucking racist. You voted for a white supremacist. You
segregationist.
voted for a fascist. You voted for a piece of shit, and you
45-year
have
career to
no
see it.
moral superiority to anybody. So shut the fuck up.
Yeah, but he's so Uncle Joe.
No, he's not. He's a creep. He's a child
I know.
molester. He's a rapist. I'm friends with Tara Reid, and fuck Joe Biden.
Right, and I believe Tara Reid since day one.
Absolutely.
I
The
do believe
hypocrisy of the
Tara
media,
Reid
that was
too.
crazy.
I
Yeah.
do believe Tara Reid,
Yeah.
but I will say on the other side, I'm not too believing the person who and I don't like Scott Stringer. He's the one who's running for mayor in New York.
Oh, I don't know.
Do you remember the Yang gang thing? Did
What
you
exactly
follow that?
happened?
What do you
between them?
remember?
I've heard the name,
That
but I
was
don't
the
know.
Yanger who hit him
Scott
with a Me
Stringer?
Too. Yeah, hit
Oh.
Scott Stringer with a
They're
Me Too
using it
thing.
as a weapon. They did it to Shahid Buttar.
Well, that's what pisses me off. They're
Right.
weaponizing it. So
Mhm.
people
Anna did it to Jimmy.
people are
Yeah.
being hurt. Women are being hurt. All of
Mhm.
women are being hurt by when they weaponize this.
Yeah.
Because whether it's a case like Tara Reid, if you do the deep dive on it, it's very credible.
Yeah.
The,
Very,
the
very
video from
credible.
CNN where her mom literally called in
Larry King
Larry
Live?
King
Right,
Live. That was
right.
such a
Right.
that's pretty crazy.
Okay, I
And
mean,
listen, I am not.
Clear evidence.
How did she know? Did she know he was running for president?
Right.
You know, come on. It's very credible.
Right. Yes.
So the Yang one was not.
No.
It was
And Shahid
terrible. It was
Buttar, that
embarrassing.
wasn't credible.
Yeah, and I
Um,
did debate on that one too, and
A lot of
honestly,
people
I
did.
regretted that.
Yeah.
a lot of people. This
Right.
is why, and I'm sure I've said it before, but I'm sure I'll take shit for it for saying it again. But I am not a believe all women kind of person.
No, I'm not either.
Especially not
Believe the
when
facts.
I think that's dangerous. I
I
think
agree.
that thought process is incredibly dangerous.
But it's so frustrating because they would literally with the Kavanaugh story, they
Yeah.
all the media instantly jumped on it.
Yeah.
But then with Tara Reid, they took like 2 weeks to even write one article. I remember because they were like, "Oh, we have to vet it this time."
And they're still
But then the
slandering
opposite
her.
case,
But
they did
that's
the
why
opposite.
Ryan Grimm, like people like Ryan Grimm, I mean, it's so confusing to me because he has done great work. Him and
He
even
really has done
Benjamin
great work.
Nixon, or is
Benjamin
that his
Norton.
name? Benjamin
Dixon.
Nixon,
Who?
the guy
Dixon.
from
Ben Dixon?
Ben Dixon.
Fuck Ben Dixon.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
not big
but
on
he
Ben
did all
Dixon.
that Bloomberg stuff. Like, there's people who've done good
He did
work.
good work. That
But
was good.
some
Listen,
Bloomberg thing was
James
good.
Risen used to be a bad fucking ass, and now he's a Russiagating piece of shit. I mean, you cannot. That's why you cannot have heroes. You cannot hold somebody up on this pedestal where they're now above reproach. That is completely unhealthy,
and on the flip-
especially people in power or journalists or politicians. It makes no sense whatsoever. You need to. I side eye everybody, fam.
Yeah.
Everybody. I mean, that's
To be fair, though, Ryan Grimm also did an amazing on the with the Intercept. He did amazing work on a guy who was running against Richie Neal in my district in Massachusetts.
he's done
I
great
don't
work.
think
the
He's
homophobic
still a douche.
children.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. On the flip
Yeah.
side,
Yes.
we have to
Still a
be. We
douche,
shouldn't like overly valorize people, but
No.
we should also be willing to admit when people we don't like did
It's a
something
shit bird.
good.
Exactly.
Like I
Exactly.
thought Trump's diplomacy with North Korea, fuck everything else about Trump, but I thought that was good to meet with Kim
And
Jong Un.
There was
TPP,
more than
and,
Trump
and what
did,
he
you
did for
know?
TPP.
Yeah.
Okay, you got to give him his credit. We lose credibility when, as a movement, and
We're
as
inconsistent.
individuals,
We're too partisan.
we're inconsistent. It's like, yeah,
Consistency.
partisan.
I've been preaching this for a long time.
Right.
Can I just get a little bit of consistency? And listen, I'm not perfect, but I really
Policy.
try to be consistent. That's why when Tucker Carlson, who I generally despise and think he's
I know.
a very dangerous racist
He is.
propagandist
Yes.
piece of shit,
Yes.
but he's great on anti-war stuff. He's great on Assange stuff, and I'm going to give him credit for that. And I've taken shit for that. I can't believe you're saying nice things about Tucker Carlson. Well, listen, sometimes people you hate will do
Those
good
same
things.
people
and
will
it's
say nice things.
okay.
Can I just say something right here too?
Yeah.
I don't like Joe Biden.
I fucking hate Joe
All right?
Biden.
Nobody here likes Joe
No,
Biden. But I'm going to
nobody.
tell you what. if he releases Julian Assange, I am so giving him credit for that.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Well,
If he himself
No,
does
you
it,
got
if he
it.
himself
You gotta
I'll
give
be
him credit
happy.
for that. If
I'll
he
be
releases, if he drops the charges, I will give him credit for that.
for that,
Yeah.
for that.
Okay,
exactly.
you got to, because how are we going to have credibility to be able
It's
to go
carrot
to
and stick.
petition?
it's
and
not
everybody
really.
else?
I don't really think it's necessarily something that he wants to do or would do on his
No.
own,
It
though.
would've been
But
fun.
you know,
Who
You have to push him. You have to
Yeah.
push him.
No.
I don't care.
yeah.
I don't care. Just
no, I'll
Just
get.
do it.
I'll 100% like tell him thank you on Twitter. But he's
Yeah.
no. I
it doesn't
still-
mean that we whitewash anything else.
Oh yeah.
no.
But for that, just like with Trump with TPP, thank you, Donald. Now, I'd like to point out the other things you haven't done or the things that you've done that are really bad.
Yeah.
You know, I don't like what you say. I'm going to be consistent. It's not about party. It's about people and policy. And it's even about policy more than people, because I do not like fangirl anybody.
No.
I just don't. I'm not doing it.
No.
It's like, because they're dangerous. And
There
as
are
soon
people
as you
that I
give them
like.
that power, they
There are
turn.
people that I'm fans of. Like I'm a fan of Jimmy Dore. I'm a fan of Lee Camp. I'm a fan of Grey Zone. I'm fans of theirs, but I will
Right.
still criticize them. I've criticized Jimmy.
Mhm.
I've criticized Max Blumenthal. I've criticized.
There's a difference
That doesn't
being a
make
fan
you
and
hater.
idolizing.
It doesn't
Right.
make you a hater.
No.
It's just making them accountable.
Yes.
And when you criticize these people that you do have appreciation for, that doesn't mean that you're coming at them personally.
no.
Right.
You just see something that they're doing, and you want to maybe see if that they can come at it at a different angle. And that constructive criticism can never be taken personally.
And how they respond can be amazing.
Exactly.
They can tell you so much about them.
Yes.
You know.
Well,
100%.
usually people respect you more if you're willing to challenge them and disagree with
And
them on
if they
something,
don't-
rather than if you're just like bowing down to every
Right.
single thing they possibly say. No, like people want you to deal with them like they're a complicated person with
But if
truths
they
and
have their
lies.
backup when you call them out on something, that should tell you maybe their intentions are not
Mhm.
square.
Well, yeah, if they get very defensive and there's not like a even willingness to allow themselves to be criticized.
Right.
I think that all depends on how you come at people too.
It
Yeah.
does.
You
A lot
can,
depends on
if
that.
you come at somebody in the wrong way, they can get really.
You can make a
defensive.
good point, but if you came at them the wrong way, they might close down and not
Yes.
hear you.
But why
Yeah.
wouldn't they? You know what we would do.
They can feel
thing.
attacked. Yeah.
So it's
yeah.
not, you have to be.
And I'm not
productive
great
there.
at that. You guys know I go the fuck off on people. But listen, this is over 2 years now, and I was nice to start this shit off. Like the people, like Kyle Kalinske, me being mean to like a Kyle Kalinske or a Mike Figueredo or TYT. I was nice to them at first, and they wore out my patience. And so I'm done being nice now. I shouldn't have to beg you to cover Julian Assange. And it shouldn't take us 3 weeks of kind of spamming you on Twitter for you to do an 8 fucking minute video. It's really frustrating. So I'll start nice. I started nice with Nina Turner when we were asking her to come to our Assange event in Columbus. I started off nice, and I don't like Nina Turner, but I'll be nice until you don't come to my event or you don't even acknowledge that we've asked you, and then I'm going to have problems because I'm not willing to accept she has to do what's safe to get elected. Fuck getting elected. It doesn't matter. She's just going to go in there and just be another one of the fraud squad. She's going to tweet about, all the stuff we need to do that she's not going to fight for. So I don't give a shit if she gets elected. I don't care. It's not a good enough excuse for me.
Well, it's so frustrating because she'll put like one foot in one door and one foot in the other, where it's like
It's because she's an
I
opportunist.
would say like she would pretend like she wants to possibly be a third party or independent person, but then but then every other indication says the opposite.
Dude, she's talking about access to fucking healthcare now.
No, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. She pretends she joined Movement for a People Party, but then in every other possible way, it's a step towards the
She is
establishment.
a Democrat. 100%. There is no question. She used to be a Hillary Clinton surrogate. She used to work on the board of Correct the Record. She is a Democrat.
Learned that today.
100%.
No, I didn't know the
I didn't
correct
know
record
that.
thing.
There
No.
is absolutely no reason to trust Nina Turner at all. I get it, fam. She gives a good speech and she probably makes you feel all warm and fuzzy
She's
inside.
She's a powerful.
She is.
speaker.
She's
amazing.
Obama. You need to
Yeah.
be very, very, very critical of Nina Turner. You need to
Absolutely.
side eye the shit out of
So
Nina
who else is
Turner.
running? So let me just be the wet blanket here and the pragmatic person.
Well, in that,
So
in that
who else
race, I
is
don't know.
running in that race?
Yeah, I don't know.
What do you mean?
What are the choices for?
As in who else is running
Somebody
against
else
Nina?
who will do absolutely nothing
Yeah.
for us.
That's my point.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't believe in
I'm
electoral
pretty sure the
politics.
state
That's the point.
Democrats are now endorsing Nina, aren't they?
No, I don't think so.
the
No.
establishment
Clyburn
Democrats
just jumped in
jumped
to
in.
Oh.
endorse Chantel Brown.
Hillary Clinton endorsed
But
it.
that's
Yeah.
Hillary. That does. She
Yeah,
knows
but
that
Hillary
that
helped
Clinton,
you.
I love when she endorses.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, it
elect-
helps
like
the
a
other
gift.
person.
Yeah, listen, electoral
And Nancy
politics
Pelosi
ain't it.
too.
Electoral politics ain't it. It's not going to get you what you
This
want.
is
This is what gets you what
You
you want.
gotta-
Direct action.
You got to talk to the people you know and work with the people that you interact with. If you can't start on an interpersonal level, then you're not going to get anywhere. You have to be able to build your strong foundation before you can expand.
And for the love of God, get involved with mutual aid. Please, I'm begging you.
Don't
I know
just
I
talk
say it all
about
the
a general
time.
strike. Just like
See, that's what's so
We
frustrating.
can't do a general strike without mutual aid first.
Period.
There needs to be a very
Period.
strong mutual aid system in place before we even consider a
See,
general
that's what's so
strike.
frustrating is so many like social
Yeah, I
games
know,
and a
I'm
lot
not
of like
with the general
electoralists, they don't realize that the people who are further left who have checked out of electoralism, they don't realize they're doing things like feeding entire communities
Yeah.
and giving to the poor.
Shout
and
out to Rome.
So they've moved their activism from helping get candidates elected to helping people. Directly,
Yeah.
you know, actually doing direct action and protests and feeding people and all the things that the people who are doing electoralism, if they move their energy from electoralism towards helping communities, so all that money you donate on political campaigns,
Stop
imagine
donating to
Imagine those
politicians.
millions of dollars going into your community directly. You know, that would do more immediate help than electing a candidate to do those things for you, and they don't do it.
I don't know why people are still donating to the squad. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez took your money and gave it to CIA candidates.
She tried.
She
was
tried.
calling
They
her
sent
what
it back.
happened?
Yeah,
Oh, they sent it
they were
back.
calling
They
her.
sent it back.
They sent it back because they were embarrassed to be
Nobody
associated
wanted
with
her
her.
money.
Which I get.
Yeah.
Because they're scared
I
of being
get it.
associated with her.
But please, for the love, stop donating to her. She's giving your money to the enemy. She is the enemy. Let's be real. Let's
Yes.
be very clear. AOC is your enemy. Period. End of story. And that is just the hard truth. You need to learn to take that in because she is not your friend.
they're there
at
to
all.
pacify you.
Yes, and they've done a very good job. They've done a very good job of pacifying everybody. They've got you thinking that Nina Turner's the answer. And look at it go. You know.
So disappointing.
And then it's
Yeah.
no, but it's not just that. It's Nina Turner, and then the next because we need more. We need more justice.
Just one. If we get just a few more.
Yeah, just a
You
few
know,
more.
then-
But here's the weird strategy that I have in my head. All right, and it probably won't happen, and you guys are going to go, ah! But I'm telling you. All right, I'm gonna give you time to lift off here. Okay? So
Here we go.
all right, this is like me being my weird me. Okay, part of me says, give him every freaking seat in Congress. Give him the Senate. Give him everything. First of all, what are the alternatives to him? Okay, we don't have alternatives. Give him
That'll
every
never
seat.
happen.
I part of me is like, vote blue no matter who, and stick with me, people. Because then if they get everything, who are they going to blame?
Republicans, Joe Manchin.
No,
Blues, so
no.
that's-
If they have like all the majority, like
They'll never let that happen, though.
If that happens,
Exactly.
100% Democrats. You know what they're going to start saying? Some of these Democrats are too Republican. That's
Yep,
all they'll start
yep.
But what I'm
Yep.
saying is, if all those things happen, it still explodes the narrative.
No, I think I know what you mean.
It's not about how
No, I
many
see what you're
seats you
saying.
have.
Because right now we're
Right.
seeing
We're
this right
seeing
now.
it right now.
We're seeing it right now
So
with the
it's
fact
like-
that Democrats control
it's
all
like-
three branches.
Right,
They
they
control
can't do
everything. They
anything.
can't do anything.
And the parliamentarian and Joe Manchin.
The
So, bring it
parliamentarian.
on. Bring
Well, and they act like they can't get rid of the parliamentarian, or they act like they can't get rid of
You can
Postmaster
fire
General
any day.
Joy when there
Right.
are ways they can
Right.
get rid of both of these people.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
not
with a stroke
Well,
of
well,
a pen.
Because here's the thing, though, because the fundamental thing for Democrats is they don't want to make it seem like they can change the rules of the game. Like the moderates,
they're
like Joe
playing the
Manchin,
civil
that's what I'm saying.
game.
They
They're
want
playing
to
the civil
pretend
game.
like the parliamentarian and
Right.
the filibuster
Right.
are these age-old things that are not allowed to be changed.
Yeah.
That you have to leave
Right.
these structures in
Right.
place.
Right.
But
Whereas
they
they
would
could easily
never-
get rid of it and things would change.
But
But
they would
God
never
forbid
let.
they can't have that happen.
No,
Yeah.
they would never let that many Democrats. Listen, it's rigged. They control
Totally
who gets
rigged.
elected.
They'll do
it
the
doesn't
perfect
matter.
balance
Yes.
all the time.
And that's what I'm saying.
Right.
They're all given their one pet issue that they're allowed to be kind of bold or a little bit brave, think a little bit outside the box on. But it's all for numbers. And that's so that when they go to vote, it doesn't matter. Whatever they want to happen will happen.
They'll come up
You know,
with a
they'll have the
distribution.
squad vote present on giving more money to cops and it'll be fine. And it's all fucked up. And none of these people work for you. They do not. And it doesn't matter. Kyle Klinsky, it doesn't matter if they don't take fucking corporate money.
Well, there's
It
social-
doesn't
yeah, there's
matter.
social
They're taking
corruption.
our money.
They're
and
taking
giving
our
it-
money and then acquiescing to corruption.
But I genuinely think a big part of what's happened to AOC and the squad is because they've been let into the club.
They're in the club.
And now
AOC
Nancy
was
let's
always
say-
in the
I was
club.
just saying, Nancy
Right.
Pelosi calls her and gives her nice phone calls, and so she starts
No.
to. But I'm saying they
Yeah,
once
that's
they're
all
in those.
bullshit.
But I'm saying they see
all
them as
bullshit.
humans, and that makes them lose their challenger.
You guys,
position.
AOC was
They
always in the
acquiesce.
club. She interned for Ted fucking Kennedy.
That's true.
She was groomed
That's
for
true.
this. Period. That's not a conspiracy theory. She interned.
True.
She is 100% establishment. She would.
Yeah.
She would. Come on. It
She
couldn't be
didn't
more
knock
clear.
off. She didn't knock off that.
I mean,
very
listen,
strong
that guy-
incumbent.
That got Crowley wanted Nancy
Crowley.
Pelosi.
Really?
Crowley wanted to be speaker.
That wasn't just random.
Crowley
But
wanted
it
to be
was
speaker.
close. Very close.
Yeah.
You
No,
think that was
no,
entirely
no, see,
random?
that's
I
No,
not-
don't.
I'm not saying that,
I
but it
don't.
was very close.
Yeah, it was close,
What
but
was-
Crowley wanted to be speaker, and there's a reason why
But they
he
didn't
isn't.
want him speaker.
No.
That's
Mhm.
right. So that there's a reason
Well,
why.
there's a reason why AOC
What I
is
found
there.
interesting about AOC in that situation, so Samira Khan, journalist for
love
RT, I love
Samira.
Samira too. Samira's cool. But it was interesting because the
My
weekend,
snark sister.
the weekend after AOC had won that election, the primary election,
Right.
Samira pointed out how AOC had taken some anti-war positions off of her campaign website.
Immediately.
start-
She
she
did.
did
She
start
did that
for that,
immediately,
yeah.
and Samira caught it like that. And I remember at the time, like I was telling you guys, I used to be the one who was like, "Well, this might be a coincidence. Give her a chance."
Samira
remember-
had her number.
I remember
immediately.
saying that to Samira at the time, and then now when I finally woke up a few months ago, I remember I told Samira, I was like, "Damn, you called it! Like you saw it right away." And then at that point, people would start accusing Samira of being right wing, and I'm like, "No, you don't know." I was like, "No, like she's
that your
on it
phone?
with this, like really."
Yeah.
Oh.
Can you-
Like I tried to help her from her character attacks because
No.
she was right on that. She's clearly to the left of half the people who are attacking her. So it's like
That's usually what happens. People
Yeah.
don't like to be out lefted. And here's the thing: Bernie Sanders convinced a lot of people that they're left when they're actually just hipster liberals. They're just people who kind of want healthcare, but not really enough to fight for it. And they don't really want to be Democrats, so like they want to be. He made it like this kind of like cool thing to like pretend to be left or whatever. And y'all aren't left. You're imperial. Like if you're still simping for AOC, who is a full blown imperialist, you're not a lefty. If that's your version of leftism, and I've said this before, I think with Fee and Sky, if that's your version of leftism, I want no part of it.
well, it's because they don't have any understanding what leftism is.
Imperialism
no
is
understanding
not
of
negotiable. It is a non-negotiable for any self-respecting leftist. You cannot be, pro-coup and be a lefty.
It's like the fundamental difference between the squad progressives
Yes.
and the left is the imperialism angle.
Yes, it's
That's
one
big
of
difference.
one of the big
There's
differences.
several, yeah.
There are many differences.
Give another
That's the big
give another
one.
good example, another prime one besides
The
imperialism.
censorship and the fact that AOC wants to sick her entire email list to go out and mass report people who say mean things about her, and the fact that she is so focused on January 6th and doesn't give a shit about anything else. That's
And
going on in
supported
the
giving
world,
police
and
more money, or at least
supported
abstained
giving
from
police
it.
more money. If you abstain, you support it.
Exactly.
That's consent.
They were the one. It was one vote difference.
Yeah.
It only happened by one vote.
Yeah.
Her one vote could have been the vote.
Her, Jamal Bowman, and was it Ayanna Presley? Was it Ayanna
I don't
Presley?
remember. Half of them
Which
abstained,
one
half
was
of them
it? Which vote
were
was
against.
The Capitol Police bill that gave like
Getting
$2
more
billion
money. That was all
to
of
the
them.
cops.
Every
Yeah.
I thought they
single
all
one.
voted for it. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
every single one.
I don't know why
There was a
that's.
few I think who voted against.
How can
No,
you?
I think
Squad,
they
like
all did.
Ilhan. I think Ilhan did.
I
There
think
was one or two.
Ilhan voted against it. I think Rashida Tlaib voted against it.
I think
don't
you're
know.
right.
Maybe
I think
they
It was weird.
abstained.
It was a
Maybe
weird.
they
No,
abstained.
no, I think
No.
that
It was a
they
weird mix
voted
of
against
both. It was a
it.
mix of both.
No,
Okay,
because
I
their
promise you,
demographic,
I
hope I'm
their
wrong.
demographic is
No.
supposed to.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
they each get their key issues that they're allowed, and so
Right,
it
yeah.
the
Yeah,
number
absolutely.
and so Ilhan can have a pass on this one, and AOC will take the heat for it, and they just kind of pass it around or whatever.
Absolutely.
Well, they've
but
been
I don't
doing that
know.
since before the squad. That's how the Democrats
politics.
work.
They've
Yeah.
been doing that.
That's politics.
politics since
That's why Joe
Jefferson's
Manchin
day.
is so goddamn powerful, because he is just playing his role.
That's what's so frustrating, though, is that the squad, if they acted as a block like we wanted them to,
Mhm.
they could be Joe Manchin.
Of
But they don't
course
do
they
it.
could.
They don't do it, but they could be
They
Joe
could
Manchin
get
if
a
they
ton
wanted
of
to.
shit done. I mean, listen, they wouldn't even force a vote on Medicare for all in the middle of a pandemic, and right now Chuck Schumer's about to force a vote in the Senate that he knows won't pass,
Well,
admits it, and it's like, oh, we need to get it on the record. We need
And
to
you
get
saw
it on-
Scarborough.
Really?
Did you see on Scarborough where they were saying to AOC, like, man, I don't know how you hold back like you do.
No,
we
he didn't say it like that.
We couldn't do that. Like, we
Yeah.
couldn't hold
Oh,
our
thank
tongue
you
like
for
you do.
noticing.
The last year they were fucking talking all that shit about Bernie and like literally gaslighting the entire left. So they literally all they try to do is antagonize the left, like just like MSNBC and CNN. It's like because they have such a tight grip on it. We're literally just like puppets hanging on the
It's
string.
narrative management. I
Yeah.
keep talking about it. This is the biggest fight that we have because it affects literally everything.
But that's why they go after Assange, because the
Yes.
DNC leaks showed just how much narrative management happens.
Yes.
Where actually the producers talk to the party.
Oh, it's not just producers.
Yeah.
They're like Glenn
Journalists.
Thrush, like literally wrote an email. Hey, I know this makes me a hack, but here's this article. If you want to look through it, and then you can give me some notes, and I'll rewrite it or whatever you want. You're not a journalist. You're a fucking stenographer. You're disgusting. You should quit. You should retire in shame.
They gave
You're
Donna
journalist.
Brazile had given debate questions to
Yes.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she's
but
not
that
a
even
journalist.
got out in
so.
the mainstream
Well, that's the thing.
media.
Mainstream
that was
media,
covered.
mainstream media was very clever that summer, where they would cover the least damning emails they possibly could, so that it would look like they were covering
They
the
were
emails,
covering it,
but they would not cover the ones that showed
And
their
then-
collusion.
and then
Right.
showed
Chris
them
Cuomo-
their own
Right.
involvement.
Chris
Yeah.
Cuomo tried to go on live TV and say it's illegal for you to have the WikiLeaks. Just listen, you just
Yeah,
watch
I
us and
remember
we'll
that.
tell you what's in the
Trust
WikiLeaks.
us.
Just trust us. Fuck you, dude.
I was so pissed. I remember Debbie Schultz. She had resigned from the DNC. And 2 days later, Hillary Clinton hired her to a campaign and says she
Yeah.
does great work.
It's
And
like,
I was like, guys, that's the cover up right there.
well,
That's the cover
and
up.
near Tandon
That's the
happened.
reward.
Same thing
Yeah.
happened to near Tandon. Y'all raised hell. They pretended to give you a win, right? Oh, okay, well, we'll forget near Tandon. We're not gonna. Okay, we're done with her. Whatever.
Amen.
And everybody like cheered on Twitter. Everybody's like, yeah, we won one. Nira's not going to get her cabinet position. And now they like created a whole.
That was their one symbolic vote.
Yeah.
That was the one symbolic win they gave to us.
Yes,
was
that's
that.
what they do.
Yeah.
They will give you symbolic wins to keep you satisfied, to keep you complacent, and they do it all the time. And everybody
It's not
falls
even,
for it.
It isn't even all so much to keep us complacent and satisfied, because I think they know better than that. But it's for something they can hang their hat on. It's a whataboutism for them. Well, what about this?
Yeah.
They do it for defensive purposes. So
Well,
they can
actually, Jimmy
refer
Dore did a
back.
great job of calling Ro Khanna out on that about the CARES Act, because the CARES Act is a garbage piece of legislation that just completely destroyed. Like, you guys don't even know. We still haven't even felt the effects of that yet.
Sure.
That's coming for us. That was a complete transfer of wealth. Like, seriously,
Was this
it's
the
bad.
original
The
coronavirus
original,
bailout?
no, this
Yes,
was the
the
one
CARES
that
Act,
Trump
yes.
passed.
And then Ro Khanna tried to, but the unemployment insurance or whatever, that's why they put that in there, you douche canoe, so that you would have, so when Jimmy Dore calls you out, you can be like, yeah, but what about this one thing that's kind of
But they
good?
refuse to use their leverage. That's
Yes.
why none of that, they don't even consider, hey, maybe I should withhold my vote for something and actually try to get concessions. They don't even consider that because they're just playing their role.
They're actors. I keep saying it's a soap opera with psychopaths. That's all this is. It's a reality TV show for you to watch while the world burns.
I mean, that's why we need politicians who are willing to go in for like 1 or 2 terms.
Well,
And they
AOC
will be
was
bulls.
supposed to be
They'll
that
be
person.
bulls in China chops where they'll force a vote on
Yeah, but
everything.
They'll take
They'll
them
always
out.
be the ones who withhold their vote. You know, we need more people like that, because then it'll unsettle the system so much that
Andrew
they don't
keeps
know how to
trying to.
react if there's a bunch of them. but
Andrew
because
keeps
there's only
trying
a
to get me
small
to run
few-
for office, and that would be me. I wouldn't even want to get elected because I don't believe in electoral politics, but I would fuck some
But that's the
shit up.
problem. The
You
people,
would.
the people
I would
who
fuck some shit
the
up.
people who
Well,
behave
here's
that
the
way don't
problem.
want to be involved.
Well, not only that, they're going to take you out, guys.
Yeah, no.
It's not about even. You're not
They
going to
discredit
ever
you before you
get
step
up
in.
to bat. They're going to
Yeah.
take you out.
They won't let
Yeah.
you get elected.
No way.
No, I don't want to be elected.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
That's what I'm saying.
I just want to flip some tables.
But that's why we need more direct democracy. Like, I feel like representative democracy in general is so flawed. Why can't we just vote on Medicare for all ourselves? Have a ballot initiative where the country gets to vote on things like that.
Well,
Because they don't want Medicare for all, and it would pass. It would pass like with
Well, that's what we
historic
need. Yeah, so
numbers.
that's like the only way real
I mean,
things
that's how we
actually
got
happen.
ranked choice voting. It's
That's how Oregon got legalized all drugs.
Yeah, no,
That's where
it's
gonna
but
be.
they really just don't. They don't want, and they know that if they just put it to a vote, it would pass. It would be historic. It would be unbelievable. Listen, like 56% of Republicans support that shit, which is why it pisses me off when the people who are attacking the March for Medicare for All people, you don't want Republicans to help us get this passed? Do you even fucking want Medicare for all?
Right.
Like, what is wrong
No.
with you? People are dying and you're worried about like, oh, well, Republicans.
Yeah, the whole
might-
point of Medicare for all is that even the person you hate gets it.
Oh,
Right.
it's
Right.
so, and my favorite thing is we're going to fight for somebody we don't know. Terms and conditions may apply. I mean, what the fuck is wrong with you? I don't care. If you want to help me get something done, and it's something that I care about, then welcome aboard. I do not care.
Well,
I
I'll say
don't
it's
know.
like the people who went to the protest last summer. None of us are free until all of us are free, except for Julian
right,
Assange.
right.
Except for Julian Assange.
Right? Yeah, no, and people don't even recognize their own internal hypocrisy, their own inconsistencies. And that's what's frustrating and then when you try to call them out on it, they will gaslight and, then that's what usually I get blocked or then they call me a Nazi or, you're just a Boogaloo lover or whatever. And I know exactly one Boogaloo boy. And he's a nice guy.
Yeah,
He's kind of a hippie who likes
But
guns.
see, what sucks
he's
is that-
anti-racist, anti-war. He's bisexual.
Yeah.
He's he's a cool dude. I have my issues with him. We don't agree on everything. He's kind of a libertarian, kind of an anarchist. We don't always agree on
Yeah.
everything. But if he came out and was in the streets with us for Julian Assange,
Where were you?
where were you? Where were you? He's been in the streets protecting Black Lives Matter protesters from cops. Where were
Face
you?
to face with white supremacists.
Yeah, getting into fights with Proud Boys to protect Black
See,
Lives Matter
what's
protesters.
so complicated is like it's easy for us to brush off those criticisms of you're boogaloo lovers and stuff like that. But when you're somebody who's like way less experienced in politics, brand new in it, when somebody I would say when somebody starts throwing those smears at you, you just shut down and stop doing. You like don't associate with somebody because. Well, I don't want to even look into what they're into because
And
people
you're
will judge me for
afraid.
being,
That's how
it
you
works.
want to fit in. You want to fit in.
They shame you
They
into
shame
not
People
going
just wanna
down
fit
certain
in.
paths.
I don't care about fitting in. I
No,
don't give a
I've
fuck.
never been able to fit in.
No,
It's not my
I'm-
thing.
No, it's really not my thing, and I just don't care to do it. I fit in with my people, my independent thinkers who understand that there's nuance and there's gray and there's everything's not like a super easy black and white answer, and that people can be complicated and have things that you like about them and things that I don't even agree with myself all the time.
Well, we all have blind spots too.
Of
I mean, we have to
course.
admit to our blind spots. It's like I know I have them.
I'm not like I
You
just
have
did
to
it the other
fight
day.
it.
I just made a hypocrite of myself the other day when the Chelsea Manning and Ryan Graham
I
thing
remember
came
that.
out. Pissed me off because I hate being a hypocrite. Oh my god, it drives me fucking crazy.
What about him? Were you hypocrite?
So
Because
I
Ryan was covering.
Well, she
it.
she had that.
So Chelsea gave the interview where she said some shitty things about Julian Assange that it was just really
I
snarky
think
and
we were
unnecessary.
You were there.
Yes.
You were there for this, Chelsea.
And yes, it was really
Shit.
disturbing. Yes, really disturbing.
Yeah.
And it really pissed me off because he's being tortured right now. Like we're fighting for his life, and this is not the time for that.
Right.
If you have issues with him, fine, do your thing, girl. But it seriously is just unnecessary right now to do that publicly.
Yeah.
And so I was biting my tongue because it's Chelsea Manning, and I have so much respect for her, and I
Sure.
was holding back, and that at first I was like, I'm struggling to even find a way to like respond to what's happening here, and then I sat there thinking about it, and I'm like, you are a fucking hypocrite.
Yeah.
You tell people all the time that you have to hold everybody accountable, even the people that you like, even the people that you hold up as heroes or whatever, and I was like not doing that, and
They
I
can
was
be wrong.
furious with myself, and that just pissed me off even more.
So did you?
Yeah,
Yes,
I
you
mean,
did.
yeah, I went
No,
off.
so I remember.
Yeah.
I remember I was the one who asked that question, and I said, myself, like, Chelsea Manning can still be a hero in these regards,
Mhm.
while
It doesn't
still
diminish
us
what she's
disagreeing in these
Yes.
regards.
Yeah,
you know?
she's still a badass bitch. God damn it. I mean, to have that kind of courage, I don't know that I would have it. And
Because of
so
what she went through.
Yeah.
So I would never.
I have a tremendous amount of respect
And
for
what
her.
she went through, like the mental manipulation that she's gone through, could be contributing to why she's
Absolutely.
being like more like, her
Well,
criticism
actually,
more
our
technical.
good friend Deepa brought up a really good point that, given that she was tortured for 7 years and spent a majority of her adult life in jail, she just may not have a fully
Right.
developed worldview. And I
Exactly.
think that's a fair
Well,
point.
I
to
also
make.
had the conspiracy theory of, and it's totally just conspiracy theory, just throw it out there, but that Chelsea Manning's angle is to try to get the Intercept Ken Klippenstein crowd to care more about the Assange case.
No.
And so in that, I said, that's the conspiracy theory 3D
No,
chess
she's-
angle.
listen,
That is
she's a-
definitely three.
Yeah.
She's a squad
Like
stand.
I said, I know
She's-
that's not what it is.
Yeah, she is unfortunately a squad stand. She's kind of a vote blue no matter who. It's really sad. It depresses me like I can't even tell
Her
you.
politics are honestly more like Sam Cedar. to be
Yes.
honest.
Really?
And this just goes to show that these types of people, like Julian, like Chelsea, like Edward Snowden has some problems with his own politics. Like these people, they do great work, but that doesn't mean they're perfect.
No.
And we can disagree with them.
And you can
on
criticize
several
them.
things, but that doesn't take away from what they've done.
No.
No,
And you can still associate with them.
And also, they may do something. They may lean into something in the future, and you got to leave that lane open for them.
yeah,
Exactly.
And
absolutely.
You can't just like wipe people off the board.
Yeah, just brush them off.
Yeah,
And
you
listen,
can't do it.
I still have a tremendous amount of respect for Chelsea. My Jeep is named after Chelsea Manning.
I didn't
So
know that.
no,
I
true
didn't know
story.
she named
My
her Jeep.
my Jeep is named
Yeah.
Chelsea, and my kids talk to her all the time. No, I have a tremendous amount of respect for her. I really do. But to come out and say those kinds of things about Julian Assange at this time, right now, and again,
I'm glad it
she's
is.
allowed to have disagreements with him, and
Well, she
not.
said, like,
She doesn't have to like him. I don't give a fuck.
let's
But
just say
right
that
now
I
is
could
not the
release
time
it
to be airing
now,
out that
I would release it to you
grievances.
instead, Ken.
It's just not.
That's what she said.
Yeah, she said that if Ken Klippenstein had been a journalist in 2010, she would have given the information to him and not Julian Assange.
Let's just say it that
That's
way.
all.
Yeah, I'll just leave it there.
I think that was an implication of ideology, but I'm
It
not
is
sure.
because
Yeah,
Ken Klippenstein's a shit lip, and a shit poster, and that's really all
Yeah.
he's good at.
He's not even funny.
He's not. And he
Fucking
likes to
bad.
punch down, and he likes to send
Yeah.
all those little fanboys and girls after activists, and he's done it to me multiple times. And I asked him why he wasn't covering Julian
Yeah.
Assange, and he literally said, "Just to make you mad."
Yeah.
Grow the
What the
fuck up, you
God,
absolute
You're not
schmuck.
tough. Like that's.
You're not tough, and not only that, do you realize what an absolute douche you look like? This is the future of your profession. You consider yourself to be like a national security reporter, and you're not talking about Julian Assange. You're a joke.
He does
You are
leaking
a
himself.
joke.
He literally has people leak to him
To
all the time.
signal, to signal. Real good, dude. You're
Yeah.
really good doing
The
a great job.
Intercept, like go ahead and ask Reality Winner about how the Intercept.
Yeah, or Terry
handles-
Albury.
Yeah,
Or,
whistleblowers.
yeah, go ask whistleblowers how good the Intercept is. That's another thing that pissed me off about the Chelsea thing. To go to the Intercept and praise them and like they're known for fucking over their sources. Why would you do that?
Four? I think it
4
is.
sources. Yes, 4. There's been 4. Well, I think 3 technically, and then I think John Kiriakou was screwed over by a guy who wasn't at the Intercept at the time, but he is now at the Intercept.
So is
Yeah.
Chelsea
So
stupid,
he's
or
got
is
credentials.
she
I don't know.
this and she's just doesn't.
I don't
care?
know if she's
Like,
ignorant of the fact that they're known for fucking over their sources. I can't imagine that she is, but it's
Maybe
mind
I think a
it's
lot of
still
people
the
are.
old Intercept.
I don't know. It's mind-boggling to me. It is mind-boggling to me that she would do that. It's to me, it's dangerous because that she
Yes.
lends credibility to them.
100%.
And
Right.
that's dangerous for listen, I say it all the time. If you are a whistleblower, stay the fuck away from the Intercept. Do not ever give them anything ever for any reason. Don't do it. Go to WikiLeaks, go to Glenn
I mean, they're
Greenwald
literally
or
billionaire funded.
yeah, they're
They take-
billionaire
they have
funded.
money from
They paid Bellingcat.
Bellingcat. That's what I'm
They
saying. I
have
thought
a
it was a
fight-
connection
And that's
with
U.S. government
Bellingcat.
affiliated, right?
Yes.
That's
It's
associated.
basically a
UK.
CIA cutout. Y'all,
NATO.
the Intercept is garbage. It's 100% garbage. Glenn Greenwald stayed for way too long. It has been garbage for a long ass time. It deserves none of the
Isn't that
credibility
crazy?
she lends to it.
Didn't he help found it and then they pushed
He
him
did.
out?
He
And
is.
it was
He
founded.
the
What's
founder.
funny is it was
One other
founded
guy.
on protecting whistleblowers and ensuring privacy and fighting against the security state. And now they do the exact
Well,
opposite.
but only 5% of the information that was brought.
Yeah, we still don't
Edward
even have all the
Snowden
Snowden files.
Yeah, like
Not even close.
95% of the information.
I want to know what's in that shit.
Like, that's crazy.
All
It
the,
is
alien, all the
crazy.
alien stuff.
It's
Did you see that? Did you-
disturbing.
Did anybody else see that email in the 2016 emails?
Which one?
Between
the
Edgar Mitchell-
the Blink 182.
Edgar
no.
Mitchell, the 6th man to walk on the moon, an astronaut, messaging John Podesta, Hillary Clinton's campaign manager.
Who's obsessed with aliens?
He literally says the phrase, and you can look this up. I've looked it up so many times because I can't believe this email exists. He says, the non-violent alien species from the contiguous universe doesn't want us bringing weapons into space.
Okay,
And
so
then the
we create
Space Force gets founded a year later. The Space Force gets founded a year
Wow.
later.
There's also emails
Look,
from the
look
dude
those
from
emails
Blink
up. They exist.
182.
Those are real. Totally real.
Yeah,
WikiLeaks
Who is
emails.
the person who said it?
An astronaut.
Edgar Mitchell. He's the 6th man to walk on the moon. It says it in the email.
Tom DeLonge from Blink 182 is also super obsessed with UFOs, and there are also emails in there between him and John Podesta, who is legitimately
There
obsessed
are
with
a few
UFOs.
emails about
Yeah,
aliens in there.
which is just funny that Tom DeLonge from Blink 182 is like conversing with
Yeah.
He's
know,
involved with a
Podesta.
lot of government people about that stuff.
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Yeah.
But now we have a
Creepy.
really good reason to spend more money on defense.
No,
Yeah.
that's exactly what Space Force
Right,
is all about.
MIC.
That's
That's
all
what
it
MIC
is. That's
New
all it
frontiers.
is. Yep.
Yep.
We gotta have. I mean, if we don't have a boogeyman, we can't
Look at-
Right.
justify Raytheon.
Well, and the whole thing is like
now we have alien boogeyman.
I know.
well, because capitalism is like a system that relies on unlimited growth,
Mhm.
and we live on a planet with limited resources.
Mhm.
So eventually, they're going to reach the point where there's not enough resources on Earth for them to get more money. They need to go to space. That's why they're going to start mining asteroids and they're going to start mining other planets and stuff. And they won't even know. This is where I worry. They don't know the consequences of their actions
I
on those
know.
planets, and that will have a ripple effect, just like colonization of countries
But
have.
maybe the aliens will come and save us.
Yeah.
Shout out to Morgan for covering
Yeah,
that.
Morgan Archikina, who's a friend of mine, who's actually in DC. I wonder if she's going
Yep.
to come tomorrow. She's done amazing reporting with Sputnik. Sputnik, right? Am I right?
I think so.
I think
So
I know
Russian,
what you're talking about. Yeah.
on Space Force and the history, and because this is not a new thing. It's been around for a while. The idea's
Yeah,
been around for a while.
I wanna say
She's done, what, Sleepy?
I'm pretty sure we have an episode on Slow News Day.
Dr. Stephen
With
whatever his
Morgan?
name did a lot of work on.
Yeah, where Morgan. It's either on Slow
Yeah,
News Day or
I have one on facts. There's one on facts where we like dig.
could have sworn, but yeah, it was like that was interesting ass conversation.
Yeah, no, she's great. She does really great reporting on a lot of stuff. Actually, she's like like has a weird like wide berth of information in her brain. You know what I mean? Like she covers Space Force and foreign
Like
policy.
hella good military history knowledge,
Yes,
like just crazy
yeah.
good.
Her military history knowledge is really amazing. She's done great work on Africa. We've interviewed her recently about Africa and AFRICOM and all the bullshit that's going on with that, and the French and the German and all that. Yeah, so she's great. You guys should check out her work for sure. I would get her on bitch, but I think she's too nice. Pasta said he wanted to come on. I'm like, no. No,
is he not?
Pasta's way too nice.
Oh,
Pasta's
got
way
grandma
too nice for this show. And Andrew was like, no, Andrew, you're way. I told him last night, or no, it was the other day with Jesse Jett. I'm like, thanks Jesse for coming on. It was nice to have somebody to like rant with. And I'm like, no offense, Andrew, but you're not any fun to rant with. He's not. He's so like calm and measured and. Yeah. It's really ridiculous.
See, I'm in this weird place where I feel like I'm like overly nice, but then I also get very overexcited and passionate, kind of like I have what I would call Jimmy Dore syndrome when I get really serious about a topic.
My kid calls me the female Jimmy Dore. I'm not kidding. Because she's been listening to him since she was like 6 years old, and she loves Steph and Brownie. And so she actually did a chalk drawing several years ago for Jimmy. And when I went to Chicago to see his show, when we went to the meet and greet, I told him, I don't know if you remember, but that chalk drawing, and he was like, oh, that was you. And he gave me a big hug. So I went home and I told her about that. And now she's convinced that the only reason Jimmy Dore likes me is because of her. And she rubs it in all the time. And so when I got to interview him last night, she's like, well, the only reason he's talking to you is because of my drawing. And I'm like, okay, calm down, sister.
No, it was funny because in 2016 at the convention in Philadelphia, I saw Jimmy. And I went up to him and asked him to interview me. And he interviewed me, never published it.
Oh,
never published it.
He
interviewed it. Yeah, it was.
I want to go on his show now. Like, we need to get me on his show now. That'll be fun.
I would like to see Jimmy platform a lot of Assange activists, whether that's in LA, whether that's in DC, in Denver. I would like to see him.
I would also like to see him platform more independent journalists. You know, he often gets frustrated because he feels like the only person talking about certain things. You're not, homie. There are lots of people talking about it. They just don't have a platform, and you can really help build that up. And we need that desperately.
Well, I think he's helped get Aaron Monte a lot of attention.
Yeah,
but that's what we're saying. He doesn't need to keep having Max Blumenthal.
Oh, he can have new ones.
He can have Franco on, or he could have Combo Couch on, or Nico on, or Steve Poikonen. He's never going to have Steve Poikonen. He's never going to have Steve Poikonen.
He did have Nico on.
He's had Combo on too, I think. But there are plenty of people out there that are doing really great work. That could benefit from his, like a boost from him. I mean, shit, on the vigil last night, we had unbelievable viewership. I mean,
he helped the Fred Hampton leftists.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'm not even kidding you. And we've been desperately trying to build up an audience there, but we're so crushed by the algorithm because Assange is literally in the name of our group. Yeah. It's really hard to gain any traction. And so him just being on the show helps tremendously. He has a ton of power in that sense, and I wish he would use it more.
I agree.
I really do. And that's not like I'm not trashing Jimmy Dore here, so everybody calm the fuck down. That's listen, see, that's a criticism. I like Jimmy Dore.
I feel like Jimmy is the type of person where he wouldn't think that way about us anyway. He would know, even if you were 10 times harsher than that.
No, I'm not saying he would, but there are people.
He has incredibly thick skin.
Yeah, he does.
Well, because
he have to.
You can give it, you can take it.
Yeah. I mean, you guys worry about like what I deal with. Can't even imagine.
I think it's more his audience who just assume anything anybody says that's anywhere close to constructive criticism or just critiquing the guy.
Stop lifting him up as a hero. He's not a hero. He's just a dude. He says it all the time. I'm just a jagoff comedian in my garage. And that's, I mean, seriously, it's okay to criticize him. He's going to get some shit wrong. You know, that's okay. Like sometimes he's an asshole to Steph and it pisses me off. And I get it. They're married and they work together. And I'm sure, you know, that's fine. But I mean, I can still say that pisses me off and I wish he would be nicer to her sometimes. I can say that. That's okay. You can criticize people who you like. In fact, you should. It's necessary. In fact, I think it's even more necessary to criticize people who are on your team than your enemies. Because
you
have to hold up a mirror. A really good friend's going to be a good mirror.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah. No.
Well, you're more likely to listen to a really good friend who's having that critique rather than some random asshole on the internet who you don't know and have no reason to listen to. You know?
Right. But I'm okay with being the random asshole on the internet.
Me too.
I'm okay with that.
See, that's the thing. I actually try to do the opposite. If somebody's being overly mean to me, I try to still hear what they're saying.
I
Even-
don't.
I try to look past my initial reaction of
Don't waste
they're
after
pissing me off,
that.
and I try to at least try to see
I
what they're
did
saying.
too. I try to like.
I want to know what the
I-
point of why they're that angry at me.
Yeah,
is.
I can tell the difference
That's
between an
kind of
honest
frustrating.
actor and a bad faith troll, and I get a lot of fucking bad faith trolls. And I've like, there's been people who have come at me in like a good way, and I've been like, "Hey, seriously, this is just like an honest thing, like an honest question or whatever." And I'm down for that. I'm not above criticism. You should criticize me too. Absolutely, I say it all the time. I'm just some chick in Ohio. I'm gonna make mistakes.
Yeah.
But you know,
We all do.
the people I deal with. I'm not coming at you in good faith. You're not worth my time. You're not worth my spit, to be honest. I don't give a shit. If you're somebody who's like been smearing me for months and months,
Or
years,
if you're just
some of
someone
you,
who's like just a nuisance at this point, and you're just all you're doing is talking about me, and you're only providing a distraction to the people that are actually trying to coalesce around something and build up something bigger. You're just in the way, bro.
But that's their role.
yeah, no.
That's their role.
If you're
Yeah.
more focused on what some chick in Ohio is tweeting about than you are about the politicians who are actively fucking you over and killing people, you have issues, and you need to seek help for that.
Yeah.
Because I have no power whatsoever. I have no money, no power, no. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to be focused on my tweets. You absolute jackholes.
Yeah.
Makes no sense whatsoever.
It's like, why not just throw all that energy at the politicians? Like,
because they stand these politicians,
Yeah.
and they say, well, why do you only focus on progressives? Well, why do you only focus on me?
But yeah, that's the
fuckface?
irony, though, is that there are
Yeah.
so many people who are sitting over here punching up, and then there are people protecting them
Dude,
up there
I
punching
punch-
sideways at all of us.
I
It's like,
punch
what?
way above my weight class. We're going after literally the United States empire
On an
with the
international
Assange
scale.
movement. Yes.
Not even just U.S., international.
Yeah, and so do some of that.
Yeah, 'cause it's not just the
We
US.
need more of that. We need more of that. We need more people punching over their weight class instead of punching left and down. Or I'm probably actually above you. Let's be real. But that's okay. That's okay. We'll just say that. Because you guys are scumbags. I'm
Yeah.
okay with saying that. Seriously, if you're the kind of person who is consistently attacking activists and that's all you do, that's how you spend your time on Twitter.
Or if you're
a
an
scumbag.
How is that even fun?
Or if you're
Why
an
are you
activist
following those
that
people?
complains about not getting all the attention, it's just not.
I don't see a ton of that
Yeah.
sometimes.
The
but
whiners.
I've
Yeah.
been dealing with that
Yeah.
recently, to
Have
be
you?
honest. Yeah, absolutely. And what I have to say about that is that if your only focus is on whether or not your face gets platformed, your focus has nothing to do with the cause. So don't
What
even
are you
try to
in for
act
it
like you have
for?
some. Yeah,
So,
What are
don't
you
even
in
try to
for it
act
for?
like you have some noble concerns. Your only concern is yourself.
Yeah.
And that's it.
and that's gross.
Period.
That's really just gross. That's narcissism.
That's
at
not the reason to
its
get
worst.
into politics.
No,
But
it's
that's
not.
what a
But
lot of
that's
people
why
do.
a lot of
That's
people
what a lot
get
of
into
people do.
Some
Exactly.
people just want face. They just want to be. They want to have their face out there.
Or they just
It's
want
about
to.
Exactly.
attention. It's
It's
They
about
just,
clout.
they just want to have like a job right below the congressman. They just want to be comfortable. They want to get their position, and then they're good.
No,
Exactly.
it really is just about clout and climbing the ladder. And it's gross. And we see you. Like, you're obvious. These people are fucking
Word.
obvious. I mean, and I really think that they've done a really good job over the past several weeks of unmasking themselves, too, with all of the just baseless and ridiculous attacks. I know that the people who follow me think it's hilarious when I'm called a Nazi. What the? Do you even know what words mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Word.
do you know anything about me? Or like some dude the other day who's in DSA tried to say I'm to his right. You are fucking nuts. You have no idea what words mean.
Well, so that's the funny thing is because, like I was saying earlier, when somebody's not as experienced in politics, they take those critiques more seriously.
Mhm.
Like I remember years ago, if people would say that shit to me, I didn't feel confident enough what I understood, so I'd be like, maybe I need to like take a second back and reflect on this.
Yeah.
But then as time goes on, and like I said, I started to notice who was the people saying things like that and why. Then I'd be like, oh no, you're actually
I have
like
my
the
phone
one
too.
who's
They
really
have an
because you're the one
I
who's
saw
really
something
wrong
about
here.
Putin's
Yeah.
buddy, and I'm like, what is that?
Oh no.
Are you guys getting warmer?
Oh, that's.
Kind
I
That's
am getting more. I think it's
79
because we're sitting all
it's
like, we're all sitting
79
together.
degrees.
The
It's
show's about ready to wrap up, though.
Word.
Yeah.
Don't worry about Shadowban though. He's that's fam. Don't worry.
No, I'm not worried about it, but I just want to.
gotta
Misty
find
has
it.
not called my Vladimir Putin daddy by his title. I'm
We're finding
criticizing that. Listen, I don't. I'm his buddy. I call him whatever I want to call him. How about that?
That is how I found
How
it.
about that? I love me some Putin. That's gonna get clipped out. My stalkers are gonna clip that out. Be like, see, she loves Putin. She's a dictator. Oh, you guys, listen. Okay, the whole dictator thing with the Aaron Matei
Oh
and
my God, you sounded like Whitney Webb when you did that.
did I? Shout out to
That was
Whitney. Homegirl, she's
Yeah.
great. I'm still super intimidated by her. I really want to have her on my show, but
I love
I don't know why I've built her up so much. It's like this crazy,
Dude, Whitney's super cool,
She's
man.
some great work.
What'd you say,
Whitney's some
Sleepy?
great work.
So Whitney's super cool, man. Like she's
I
chill.
know she is, but I'm a spaz. These are the things I do. This is what I do.
But that's good. That means you care about the impression you leave on other people and
And I also know that I'm a spaz, and I'm almost certainly going to say something really dumb. And I feel like if I ever interview Whitney Webb, I'm just going to say, "Hi, my name's Misty. This is Whitney. Talk." And I'm just going to shut up.
That's
Let Whitney
that's
do her
pretty
thing.
much what happens. So.
Yeah.
Like
I mean, that's the extent of the interview. I think that's all that you
Whitney
really need
can
to do.
really control everything in the interview.
She makes my brain hurt.
Yeah, me
She makes my brain
too.
hurt.
Me too.
It's like that
Yeah.
guy with the strings on the board, and and how she's able to keep all that shit straight
Yeah.
is. Oh man, it makes my brain hurt. Seriously, it really does. Okay, so we're like 8 minutes out from needing to wrap because I always try to get Sleepy out of here by 9 because he's amazing. So as I'm saying that, just so you guys know, Sleepy Josh has a buy me a coffee thing. If you go to his Twitter page at abortu, ABORTU, there's a link there that you can click on to go and buy him a coffee or donate to him however much you want to. He is a badass dude. He doesn't get near as much credit and respect and appreciation that he deserves. He does a lot of shit for a lot of people. So support the shit out of Sleepy Josh.
Yeah,
if you can,
what's
please
his name?
and thank you.
Sleepy
Abort
J.
you
Is it just abort you?
on Twitter. Yeah, ABORTU.
That's it.
Yeah,
Is it? No, that's a different account.
no, ABORTU, a super
ABOR.
ABOR.
T and then just one
ABO.
U.
Yeah.
Oh, one U. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah, it's all one
That's-
word.
Yep, I
Yeah.
got it. That's what I think.
Okay, yeah, and then there's a buy me a coffee link on right on there, and you
Check
can
my
go
coffee
and
right now.
donate and buy Sleepy Josh a coffee because dude needs his coffee. He loves it. He's not named Sleepy for no reason. You know what I'm saying?
Misty had to wake me up before the show. Just so you know.
Yeah, I did have to wake him up
I
before
know,
the
I
show.
know.
I was panicking, and I'm sorry, Sleepy Josh, I really am. But you know me, I'm a spaz. Again, I'm a spaz. And I was panicking because I've never had to like set this stuff up other than just at my house, and I am like a technological moron. So I was panicking, like, what do I have to do? I don't know what I have to do, and it was getting really close. And so I'm like, I had messaged him on Element, and I'm like, what time are you going to be in there? Because I'm like freaking out, and he didn't respond, and I'm like, okay, I gotta call him.
You didn't seem like you were freaking
Yeah,
out.
it's the best way when
I
I'm
sleep
sleeping.
very well. I
Yeah,
really
you
do.
do.
I,
Yeah.
like my nerves and stuff. Everybody's like, I can't ever tell you're nervous. Trust me, fans, I am nervous. Okay, so as we're wrapping up, do you guys want to tell everybody where they can find you on Twitter or whatever else you guys got going on? And we'll start with you since you're right here.
Absolutely, yeah. Make sure you come out tomorrow in front of the DOJ at 12 p.m. It's 950 Pennsylvania Avenue. John and Gabriel Shipton are going to be there.
Code Pink will be there.
Code Pink will be there. Show solidarity for Julian and for his parents. And I'm over at DC Metro for Assange.
Suzanne Murphy, Irish Dim Sum is my name but my handle is at S Murphy Suzanne.
And she does great work with Boston, the Boston crew, with
Shout out
Paula.
Paula.
Yeah,
Yay,
Paula.
Paula. She's
Paula
here.
doesn't want to be on camera. That's okay. Which Paula's.
Hi, Paula.
Yes, she
is.
is. Paula's
She
the
is.
best.
Yeah, Paula's amazing.
She
She's
is-
relentless.
She is so relentless.
Yeah. So big shout out to Paula too.
Yes.
Okay, Kobe.
My Twitter handle is probably where you'll see me do the most stuff. It's ProPeace97. Started a Substack, haven't written a lot yet. I'm starting a podcast at some point soon. I'm also technologically ignorant, so that's kind of where I'm at right now with that. But yeah, I like to write. I do skateboard videos. You can check that on my Twitter, and yeah.
And you guys know who I am, so I don't think I really. Combo's in the chat, by the way. I just want to say hi to Combo. I don't know who it is, if it's Fee or Pasta or Johnny, but whoever you are there, I love you guys, my fams. Combo's great. You guys should go support them on
Hi,
the
Fee and Grandma.
What?
I said hi, Fee and Grandma.
Oh, Fee and Grandma. Grandma Pasta. You boomer, you. And check out Pasta's new show, Yo Vegans. He also has one with Shonda.
Hell and Back.
To Hell and Back. Thank you. I
On
always
Roar Media.
freeze on that. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
amazing. But the Yo Vegans, you might actually get to see some more white boy dance moves, which he showed a preview of the other day, which is pretty funny. But yeah, support Combo Couch on the Rockfin because YouTube fucks with them hard. So if you can go and follow them on Rockfin, subscribe if you want for the $9.99 a month, and then you get access to everybody's premium content, which is an amazing deal. But yeah, support all of the fams from MCSA Network over on Rockfin if you can. And you guys know where the fuck to find me because I'm always there on Twitter.
Yes, you are.
And definitely if you're in the DC area, come out to the DOJ tomorrow. I'm sorry I look like shit today. I've been in a car for like 7 hours. And I'm tired.
You look fine.
And I'm hot and I'm sweaty. And
And this couch is really uncomfortable.
frankly, I
And
don't
it's
really.
79 degrees in
It
here.
is 79 degrees in here because the air conditioner can't keep up with the heat, and it sucks. And I honestly don't really give a shit if I look like shit. I've been on slow news day, like no shower, no makeup. Like Steve was talking shit about me and was like, "You need to get in here," and I'm like, "Fuck it." Yeah, so I threw some dry shampoo in my hair. You girls know what I'm talking about. That's the saver.
It is the saver.
And I jumped on camera. I didn't give a shit. So yeah. I don't know why I just got off on that tangent. But there you go. Okay. Again, I've been in a car all day, so I'm a little out of it. Yeah, so next week I'm going to have Nat on from the Mexico group. She's also really good friends with her ex. I know, I'm excited. And we're going to bitch about lots of things, probably a little bit about Commander X and what's going on with him. She also wants to bitch about having partners who aren't supportive of activism, which I don't personally have to deal with. My husband is very...
I dealt with that.
Yeah, he's pretty great at just letting me be me. Suzanne and I talked about this earlier. He always says that I'm the kite and he's the string. So I'm the crazy one, and he like has to try to keep me a little bit grounded.
We need that strength.
We do, and if I didn't have him, I'd be a whole hot mess, which I am anyways. But he keeps it. It's not as bad, So yeah, next week will be Nat. I don't know who's going to be after that. I'm trying to get Steph Zamorano. From Jimmy Dore Show, but they usually stream on Wednesdays, so that might not be possible, but we may have her on fax or something instead, or an Assange vigil, or whatever the fuck she wants to come on, because I adore her. So yeah, we'll see what's happening, but next week will be Nat. I may try to get like 1 or 2 other people on too, so we can have like a girls' night bitch session. Maybe I can get Fee and Sky back, since you guys seem to love that.
I do.
I love.
Sure.
I could talk to Fee and Sky every week. We even talked about it. I was like, we should just do that.
That should be what I listen to on my drive.
I know, right? We should have like the 3 of us to just start our like a whole last show.
I would watch it.
Yeah, that would be so much fun. I think that's it for this week. If you're in the DC area, come out to the DOJ. I'll be excited to meet everybody who's able to make it out, and we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Later, taters. That was for Glory.